It's Friday, my dudes.
Well, hello, YouTube. Wow, that was pretty loud. Hello, YouTube. Let's try that again. My name is Josh Corey, and welcome to the Iron Realm. We've got a full house. We've got Adam, Zack, John, Walt. My name is Josh, and we've got a little bit of an experiment going on today. So we're going to need your help and your participation. So grab a pen and some paper and put your thinking caps on. But have no fear. Iron Realm Media is here. Welcome everybody. Glad to be with you once again. It's Friday. It is the 21st of September. It is the Equinox Eve. Something like that. Something like that. It's going to be the equinox tomorrow. So that'll be fun. So who knows what sort of magic we got going on today. But first, let's jump in and say hello to everybody. Let's just get Mr. John Savage out of the way, because I know John's just chomping at the bit.
Yeah, chomping at a bit, mate. Yeah. Had a nice week off last week, so I'm back up for a good chat. I think we've got some good subjects and material to cover, so yeah, looking forward to it.
I think so. I think it's going to be a good one. You were missed last week, by the way.
Yeah, right.
All right, and we have one Mr. Zachary Zabala, or if you prefer, Good Times for All. Zach, how are you doing, my good sir? You got some exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, I am in the land of enchantment. I am home. I haven't quite figured out where I'm going to settle, but the ground you see behind me, that's New Mexico land right there. I don't know what you call me, if I'm a New Mexican or I'm not sure what the state calls themselves. I'm not a Hoosier anymore though. But yeah, it's gorgeous out here. I don't know, I was over a mile high today. I think that's the first time I've ever been that high, besides in an airplane. Yeah, I was at 5,800 feet. I think I maxed out at somewhere right around there. It's different. It's easy to breathe. I'll put it like that. Moving out here was a good thing.
You got a big smile on your face, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here. Now it's just finding my spot.
How's Hank liking that dry air?
Oh, he loves it. He's panting and all that kind of stuff, but ever since we got up here, yesterday he panted a little. I think we were at like 3,800 feet or something like that. And it was warm, but today he hasn't panted one time. It's only got up to about 85 today, but it's just so dry. And when there's a nice breeze, it feels like it's 75 almost. It's perfect. I love it out here. I'm home.
Well, glad to hear it. Hope you find someplace a little more permanent soon so you can settle down somewhere and start to roam and explore a little bit. That's what's going to be exciting. Getting into the cracks and crevices of everywhere around you. Let's move on to my co-host from this morning over on the Truth Frequency Radio Ironworks show every Tuesday and Friday mornings. One Mr. Walter Johnson. Walt, how was your nap? We can't hear you. You're coughing. That's all right.
Oh, my goodness. No, I'm still playing with mute buttons and phones on and everything else. I had muted my system when I thought, anyway. Yeah, hi. Apparently not a nap. I didn't have enough of a nap, it seems. My goodness. I was actually up early. As you all know, we were all talking an hour and a half ago. No problem until I get to the computer, and I'm here. That's really what counts. How is everyone out there And how are you, gentlemen?
So far, we just need to get one last good sir in. We have one.
That, sir?
Oh, there we go. That. Right. That. Adam. Adam Meakin. Adam, how's your week been?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm having a lovely.
Oh nope, wait.
And now he's muted himself.
No,
It is the day of mutes.
Iron Realm Media, 2 years on. Look how well we're doing. Look, we started on time, so that's the best we can do.
You can't get it all at one package. Either you want to hear us, you want us to start on time. Pick one. We can do one.
that button was on another screen. I was distracted.
I'm entirely sure we can do one, but
I'm having a cracking end to the week, as you guys kindly announced on the Ironworks this morning on TFR. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow, so first of all, happy birthday, babe.
Absolutely, happy birthday, Marie.
And I tell you, it's nice, guys. We've the kids disappeared yesterday afternoon, and we went out for a meal last night. And we've been out, you know, doing that kind of middle-aged thing. Went to a garden centre today, and it's just lovely, just the two of us just chilling out, and maybe not such an old age thing to do, but it was lovely just spending time with her and just her, you know, because we'd been away all summer, and it's rare with the kids. You just get to just be yourselves again. It's been a lovely 24 hours. I've left her now downstairs in the house on her own while I do.
It is nice.
Have no
though,
sphere.
I know what you're on about.
Yeah.
I had the same thing this year with my wife. We didn't have the kids around, and we went for lunch in a pub and realised it's the first time we've done it in 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, was it nice? Roll on 8 years' time or something.
yeah. Get them boys in the job market. Yeah. So happy birthday, Marie. I love you, babe.
Yeah, happy birthday, Marie.
happy 29th.
Yeah.
Yep, happy 29th, Mary.
She's 47. We won't. She's not ashamed of it. She looks hot for 47. I'm just a toy boy.
There you go. You got to own it.
How old you feel, mate?
And anyway,
Yeah,
with one person we haven't
How
asked.
old is she, Adam?
Sorry,
I'm
mate.
sorry. I'm just being stupid. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's one person who didn't get asked. How's your week been? That's you, Josh. So how's your week been, pal?
Oh, not too bad. Just living the dream. SSDD, as they say. Same shit, different day. We had a good show this morning. I thought we had a real good time. And a good show on Tuesday, actually. There's a list of articles and stuff that we go over there on TFR. And it seems like they're really pushing the boundaries. From week to week, I'm amazed at just how ludicrous these stories become. I never think they're going to be able to top them. I have to think eventually they're going to back off. I'm going to get a slow week. I'm just not going to be able to find anything that's as interesting as what we did the week before. And I'll just have to start recycling old stuff that we didn't get to. But nope. Every week they got some of the most ridiculous science and space stories out there.
As I love to say, you can't write this shit. So they do. It is ridiculous.
And I say the only way you can get it is if you write it. That's the only place most of this stuff is coming from, is from somebody's imagination, because this shit ain't really happening.
Our buddy Alan this morning in chat was saying they must have like a D&D rule book, source book that they all go to write these stories. And I'm like, no, I think it's more like a Mad Libs tablet. They're flipping through and just filling in the blanks with the most idiotic crap they can come up with.
I want a rocket suit.
Only $440,000 if you want to be Iron Man. But I'm telling you, 12,000 feet in the air, going 180 miles an hour.
Hashtag gravy suit.
Gravy
I was going to
suit.
say, does it come with a colostomy bag?
No.
The
Classic
company
whiskey,
something
philosophy.
gravy. I don't remember what the freaking gravy reference is. Something about the name of the company is gravy, and I'm like, well, that's kind of appropriate at 12,000 feet. And how many miles per hour? 80 something.
180 miles.
180. Oh, definitely gravy suit.
Yep.
Gravy suit.
And I think the only bag you need is a little Ziploc sandwich bag, because that's what you're going to fit into once you hit the ground at 180 miles an hour from 12,000 feet in the air.
But
They'll
you
just
get lessons. They do include lessons. So hey, you know.
That's got to be safer than a motorbike, though, isn't it?
People
Well-
are going to be dive bombing into other people's houses and all kinds of crazy stuff.
You only got to learn to stick the landing. I mean, everything else, I guess, is, gravy.
I mean, I've done 186 on a motorbike, and I should be gravy. But up in altitude, I reckon, yeah, that'd be quite cool. Like you say, you just got to get the landing right, haven't you? You got one chance.
Because, well, yeah.
50-50.
You get it right every time. You don't get a chance to mess that up twice.
You could do it over water, though, like NASA. Just
Yeah.
end up in the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, here's what's funny. Even at 12,000 feet at 180 miles an hour, the damn thing only goes for 9 seconds max. So I think that even the test pilot only managed to get it up to like 30 miles an hour. So there's just really, as of yet, just no good way to do it.
I'm hearing fireworks around me. I wonder if that's something to do with the solstice. Is it the solstice or the equinox? I always get confused.
Tis the solstice. No, tis the
No,
equinox.
it's the equinox.
Yeah.
Damn it. We shouldn't have had that whole conversation prior to this. I should have just shut the F up.
The autumnal, right?
The autumnal equinox, yes.
Or spring equinox for those in the outer regions.
As I
I think
said
they
to
call
you,
that the vernal. Sorry.
I'm being facetious, but to me, it's the heading south equinox.
There you
Coming south.
There's a dirty joke in there somewhere. I'm just not.
I'm sure there is, yeah. No, I'm not looking for it. Well, that's your department.
Pull this out of the gutter, Walt. Come on.
Oh, his mic's gone again. Yeah.
Nope, I'm fumbling for the mute on purpose on that one.
Yeah.
Not touching it.
Oh, come on. How bad could it be? Go
It'd
in.
be great if Rob could ring in. Haven't heard from Rob for a long time.
That would be good.
Is he included in the call?
I don't think in this particular call.
Yeah, this is a whole new room set up.
Open from
today,
Wednesday.
I noticed.
Feel free to add him. I mean, add him.
Not
Up
Adam.
and at them.
Oh, feel free to add him. Yeah. I'll stick him in a sec.
Right. So I was talking about the stories you've been gathering over there.
There you go. Go ahead.
Look, I'll take this somewhere, believe it or not. And this is
Sorry.
Just before you go down the vacation trail, don't forget the photograph this morning because I just found it trying to close tabs.
That's thrown out in a
swirlies?
tailspin.
Swirlies on the moon. Remember the photograph that we were playing with right before?
Right. Well, all you'd have to do is share your screen, Mr. Walter Johnson.
Oh, okay. I thought yeah, well, we'll try that. That might be.
Yeah, see you later, Walter.
Love
Yeah,
you guys.
Good show, mate.
Feel free to
I'll
send it
do
to
it.
me. Then. I
I'll
don't want
do
you.
it. It did it this morning. I'm just closing off everything else. Well, the story itself was, one of those okay, because personally, I've never been able to see the moon in such a detail as this picture shows, to see these swirlies. Who knew the moon had extra swirlies? But apparently there's lunar swirls and they don't know why. And now they figured out it's caused by magnetic lava tubes from all that infamous lava activity on the moon.
As it works its way between all the huge underground reservoirs of water. that are
Water.
also,
Exactly. So with all that going on, it creates these little swirly patterns. And so as we tried to wrap our head around such idiocy and never seen any of this before, how do I share this? There it is. I'll figure it out. Hang
Well,
on.
I'll tell you what, we've got some footage from the P1000 coming up later, so
Nice.
we'll have to see
Okay,
if it's
is my screen
comparable.
showing to everyone?
Blimey.
It is. Give me 1 second. Walt, just on.
I knew you had to do trickery, sir.
Yeah, I need to just take the
And what's that?
the names off.
We don't care, Adam. And what's that taken from? Sorry, mate. Do your shit in the background. We don't want to hear what you do.
Yeah, some boss.
Go put it in the viewer. I don't know why I didn't do that already, because live production is nothing better. This is an image. It said NASA. That was the credit I was given. Here, let's look at the actual page. One of the lunar swirls that's thought to have been caused by magnetic lava flows. NASA. There we go. There's your credit. And your detail. I don't know. I see the strips, so I'm assuming some Passover satellite imagery, I guess, with the strips to assemble it. I don't have a clue how it was originated. What I think is somebody painted this nice swirly backdrop.
It just looks like a big sperm to me.
Then took little stickers of perfectly round circles and applied them everywhere for craters, the little craters. Not these big old craters here that have absolutely no resemblance to any kind of impact whatsoever. No, these perfectly round.
Look at the see where your cursor is now. Okay, look at the shadow on that crater. Go to the one above it.
That's where I'm headed, Adam, is the fact that this little crater here seems to be different than the rest. This little crater woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I guess, or they turned the sticker upside down and they applied it to the photograph. Maybe there's a dome. Hey, we just found a dome on the freaking moon. You saw it right here on IRM. Yeah, the shadow work here is different. It's backwards. How do I go in closer? That's it? That's as close as I can get?
Try a control scroll.
Oh, no, I was putting it in my viewer to do that very thing. That's it. Now we can look at it. Yeah, let's see. Is it a dome? I don't know. I don't see a shadow over here for a dome. So apparently
it's 7 o'clock. Go down to 7 o'clock. What's that black spot?
That thing?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at that earlier today. Maybe a cell that's dividing?
It's a base.
Mitosis? I don't have a clue.
And
then over here, Josh noticed that there's a couple more that actually are backwards. These two are backwards as well. The shadowing here is backwards. So yeah, we had quite a bit of fun with this photograph this morning before we put our description up. And thought we'd share it with you guys.
Coming up later, though, we're going to have the P1000.
So we can actually see this up.
So we'll actually have a referenceable bit of footage rather than just NASA pulling something out of their arse.
I'll pull that up now, shall I? I'll see.
And I wonder if that would have the stripes in it, because that's the only way to get this sort of quality picture of the moon. I don't know.
Yeah, it's to stripe it together, apparently.
Like a good wallpaper.
Overall, it looks like somebody took buckshot to a sign down here in the south somewhere. But, that's just the pattern I see.
It still just looks like a big sperm to me.
Yeah, Sandra's been killing it over there with the P1000 cool pics. And her pics are cool with her P1000.
Now, she used to be called P900 cool pics, is that right?
She did. She did.
She upgraded. She leveled up.
Anybody want to venture a guess as to why the sudden name change?
Have I stopped sharing just before I crash everything?
Yeah, you have.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to put a lineage so that give us credit because she's been doing this quite a while, from what I can tell. And boy, what footage.
Now, when we get a hold of her footage, as soon as Adam gets it pulled up, I want everybody to keep an eye out, because aside from the swirlies from the lava tubes there on the moon, and the backward shadow dome proof there on the moon, a lot of people probably didn't know that there's an art museum on the moon, complete with sketches and sculptures and all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm hoping with that P1000, maybe now we can start to see some of the artwork that is on the moon.
I did not know that.
I see, and I didn't know that either until this past week.
Or if you have property you purchased on the moon, maybe we can get to zoom in on it.
I do. I own an acre.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Would you pay about
How much?
$20?
A bargain. Absolute bargain. $20.
Oh,
I've got a whole certificate as well.
well, and that was another story we covered, talking about the guy that owns the moon. And that's why
sure. Dennis Hope, I believe.
My landlord.
I missed that one, Josh. I wanted to hear what you was going to say about that. It owns the moon. Who is this?
Walter. Never mind. Let me see if I can pull it up.
You asking hard questions, Adam.
Dennis.
Have you brought that footage up yet?
I'm ready to go.
Who owns the moon?
I'll let you find that, and I'll.
I'm not here.
Well, see, here's the thing: the UN established a charter stating that no nation could lay claim to the moon. Walter, are you pulling the story up? Because there's a whole bunch of good phraseologies and departments and stuff, legal terms and legal definitions and stuff that I think that are well worth mentioning. Excellent. I see a thumbs up and a head nod, so I'm assuming you've got it pulled up and you're ready to go.
I'm actually trying to get it because I had the sculpture up and the museum up because I didn't have this up, but I have it up now. And this gentleman's name is Dennis Hope. He's on the moon for 30 years. He also owns, well, most of the solar system, it turns out. Let's see, where is it? According to the 1967 United Nations Outer Space Treaty, no country can own the moon. Doesn't actually say anything about individuals. So our boy Dennis wrote a letter to the UN saying he owned the moon and asking them to come up with a legal reason why he could not own the moon or claim that ownership. He's never heard back. Boom. He owns the moon. He sold 611 million acres of land. $20 a pop.
$20.
Exactly. $36.50 after the lunar tax. Did you get by without paying lunar tax there in Britain?
Damn, what? Why didn't I think of that?
Right? See? Damn it, you should have got out of that. People like you're in high class company, sir. George H.W. Bush himself owns land there. Jimmy Carter owns land there. Ronald Reagan, dude. You're pimping with the presidents.
That's Ronbo.
See, you trust these guys. It couldn't be a scam at all.
Exactly.
Those guys.
Tell John and all the listeners at home what the UN said as to why they decided not to respond to the.
I'm trying to find the places he still owns, man. Damn it, I just had the list. Okay, he got Mercury, he got Mars, he's got Venus. He was smarter here, though. He only got Jupiter's moon, Io, because the rest would have just been a big ball of gas, and you're not really getting much bang for your buck there. And he actually got Pluto while it was still a planet. Of course, now, downgraded, you can get the entire whole chunk of Pluto for yourself, $250,000. I say we do a crowd fund and the flat earthers buy Pluto.
I say we buy the Milky Way. What about that?
I'm in, guys. I'll tell you what, Walt. If you'll throw in London Bridge, right?
I've got oceanfront property right over there next to Zack. He's right down the road from it. Some oceanfront property that I was going to throw in as well.
I'll buy that for $1.
If you haven't seen this documentary out there, y'all, called Lunar, which is where I had originally heard this story about this gentleman, Dennis Hope, there's all kind of crazy stuff on there, including our good old buddy Alan Bean, astronaut turned artist, who currently is painting moon escapes and then imprints them with the boots he wore when he became the fourth man to walk on the moon. But he is
Not-
also the gentleman who
Not
told
currently,
us.
though. He
Oh,
died.
that's right. He passed. My bad. My apologies.
Or did
But
he?
he was the gentleman who told us all that they were not affected on his mission by the Van Allen belts because they had not been discovered yet.
Yeah, they just passed right through them. We just passed right through them.
Okay, so what did the UN? According to Tanja Masan Zwan, president of the International Institute of Space Law, the United Nations never responded because the treaty applies to both countries and its citizens. What Hope is doing does not give people buying pieces of paper the right to ownership of the moon, she told National Geographic magazine back in 2009. However, he's still selling those plots, as John here can attest.
Because that's what happens, right, John? If somebody makes a claim, you get to just completely ignore it, and then it just goes away. It's like
That's
it never
right.
happened.
Law,
I mean-
that's what I thought.
Nothing stopping the UN owning vast tracts of Earth under the guise of, what do they call it? Heritage, national heritage over here. I don't know what they call it in other countries, but yeah, no, the UN, they're the people to talk to. Bunch of unelected old farts. Well, I'm proud to have given him my $20 when I had that sort of money.
Sweet. So now,
Wonder what it's worth now.
I've got it on screen for you there, guys.
about 37 cents, John.
Shit.
Well, that's what you get for supporting the flat Earth. Once you decided that the moon isn't really a solid object in the sky, then you just kind of.
I just bought an acre.
So is this
I
the-
didn't say I bought an acre of solid. I
Oh,
bought an
well,
acre of the computer program we live in. Obviously,
How about 2 acres of the idea of the moon?
1 pixel. I bought 1 pixel of the moon. Sorry, Adam. You had something.
Well, that
Some real footage, maybe.
yeah, that 1 pixel's become a lot less real estate now, mate, with this quality of footage that's coming in.
Well, I think it's almost slipping into the
Okay,
Airy's refraction area of investment.
that's amazing. That's like real? That's not
Diffraction,
real.
not
Diffraction. Sorry.
That's what I said. It looks so completely photoshopped. Like somebody took that.
You
and ran
can
through-
tell it's real because it looks so fake. So she timed it where the moon was, I mean, the sun was behind it, though. That's the part that's breaking my brain.
Can you play that again, Adam?
Is that
I'm
what she
doing
did?
it. I'm doing it now, playing it full screen now.
Can't be behind it. That'd be an eclipse.
Well, then where's all that sunlight coming from? I'm so confused.
I was hoping she'd be in the chat and we could get an
I see she
answer.
is.
Hey, Sandra, help.
Help us. We should have her on the show maybe one day. Would be genius.
Oh,
Look at
love
me
to
coming up with ideas live right here in front of folks.
Like now would be
quick
good.
shout out to Lady Onyx, to Jamie Brown, to D.
Hi, everyone.
Chocolate
Wow,
Saint,
I don't even have the chat
Chocolate.
open. I'm so ashamed.
and Bruno. I see you hanging out there too. What up, everybody?
Okay, so either there's a UFO really brightly lit hanging out behind the moon, or she did some kind of way to catch the sun. What the hell's going on here? I'm so confused.
That's what I want to know. I would love to hear from Sandra what the light was.
Or did she actually catch the moon's self-illuminating source?
Oh, I see Ranty Flat Earth, all sorts of people. I've added a list of participants, and that's not everybody that's participating.
I know, I hate that little list. It never shows you
garbage.
everybody in chat. I gave up on it.
What up, Ranty? My View 1875. And West Coast Wisdom. Good evening.
This is mental footage.
It is absolutely mental
Man.
footage.
Just
It is messing with my brain. What could that possibly is it a camera setting? Is it just
It definitely doesn't look clear right there, does it? That's insane.
Look at all the sparkles up at the top.
I know, what the hell is going on?
I mean, it's
Man,
obviously
where is
some
she?
sort of
Is
lens
she in
flare. or
there
something.
she is. All right, let's talk to it. Let's get her on here. What do we got to do?
How is it flitting around the surface? I mean, there were a couple of
Them UFOs.
glints.
ah. So, Sandra, is that true what you said in chat? Is that exactly what it is? Did
Is
I
that
call
what it is? You did call it, Josh. You did.
Enlighten me. I'm not watching chat.
She ran it through HitFilm.
What does that mean?
It's a video processor that's it's a really cool video editor that comes with a super strong compositor. So you can do all sorts of bad
it's
studios.
Man, you're breaking up
edited.
all our brains up.
Because it
Look
has
at
to be.
you. Because it has to be.
Just a little part of me just died, Sandra.
Yeah,
just
me.
a little
Yeah,
part
me.
of me.
I know.
Cheers,
now we
Sandra.
can never
Yeah, thanks for
trust
that.
her footage again. We'll know she faked everything. No, I'm just kidding.
It's still bloody awesome. The shots on there are
The
just.
shot of the moon itself, though, is freaking incredible.
Even
Look,
artistically,
there's a dome. I see it right there, right at the edge of the crater. You see it? It's lit up backwards.
yep, I see it. It is lit up backwards. Holy hell! Why is that lit up backwards?
Pause it. Pause it. Pause it. Pause it.
Well, it's been photoshopped because it has to be.
I don't think you went in there and reversed the
can't
shadow.
analyze it now.
Right
Can we,
there.
Sandra? Can we have the raw?
Right there. Please. Let
Where
us
do you
have
want
it.
me to pause it, guys?
Pause
Just
it right before the flare. Pause right there. Pause. Pause. No, the flare's there.
Got it.
All right, a little more. Okay, stop. What the hell? Okay, stop. Man, that thing is not right. Y'all see it, right? Right there, about an inch and a half from the bottom, 3 inches, 2 3/4 inches over from the left, a dome. There it is, on the moon.
there.
I don't know. I don't see your cursor. Do not see your cursor still. No, way over in the like dark part of the moon, like right at the edge of the dark, right at where the
Left
flare
hand
is.
side.
There, that like little bump right there is backwardsly lit. Backwardsly lit. Look at it.
I see a dome in the top right and some weird runes or inscription. Iron Realm Media.
Looks like cheese to me.
No, still great footage, but yeah, I'd love to see the original, raw, unedited.
That's
For sure.
awesome. Absolutely awesome stuff. Yes, I just wanted to show that, guys. I thought I saw that this week. Thanks for the answer, Sandra. I was thinking,
Are there
what
any
the hell
comments
is
on
it?
that video? Any interesting comments on the video? Below the video, I mean.
Let me have a look. Just cool stuff. One from the Adam Meakin. Bloody awesome. Thank you. FPV. What an amazing zoom. That's what I said. That's what's cool about it. The level of zoom onto the actual surface outside of those lights. It's
Yeah,
wicked.
almost rivals NASA's.
Yeah. Maybe just give a quick shout out to Sandra's channel. I don't know which one say P900 cool pics or P1000. That was off the P1000.
Say both.
Wicked stuff. Really.
Yeah, really cool. I'm looking forward to everyone who's getting a P1000 to, or even who's still got the P900. It's still an awesome camera.
I just quickly cut back, guys, just to show you. She's done some other stuff. 17, so like just last week. But that's like P1000 stuff where you can look, you can see the cables on there. I think there's a shot before where it's P900 or something.
Well, like a comparison.
Yeah. I think that's like the P900.
Has it got a bigger sensor, has it?
It's fucking huge, mate, by the looks of it. Ranty's in chat, he'll tell you how big his
Yeah, I was
sensor
going to
is.
watch his unboxing, but I just ran out
I
of time.
watched it. I've got to admit, I did watch it. I did go,
I wanted to.
ooh. When he
It's
was
a big old boy as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's a big size up from the P900.
Hefty
So
bit of
I would
kit.
hope the sensor is, because the P900 sensor was quite small, I seem to remember.
Say I've got a small sensor.
Don't go there. Well, oh,
It's hard, you know. One day you've got the the biggest sensor. You've got the greatest thing in town now. It's obsolete.
it
It's
is.
like a
Yeah.
ZX81.
I've got the Canon 20D, so there's no sensor envy here, mate.
Oh, funny.
Got the full 1 inch, I think. You can pick them up for 50 quid on eBay.
While we're still just on that ranty stuff and that, I thought that'd be a good linking
Segue.
all this camera stuff and perspective stuff to what we want to talk about mostly tonight.
Bring up the Stana link, whatever they're called. What are they called? Stena line.
Well, we'll come to that in a bit, I think, because that is a good explainer of what we want Zack to explain again to us, because it's become really pertinent again this week. If you listen to Nathan's channel, and I think, like we said last week, repeating stuff, we take it for granted, but it's good to just keep going over stuff. And
it is, so much of it flies by, and so much of it's gold that
we
it
get
is worth
jaded. We're so
revisiting.
jaded after all these years of being in this that it feels like it's set in us. It's part of our makeup now. It's not a discovery and like it is to the new people. And we have to remember that sometimes and kind of put ourselves back in that mindset. Because being here with Zack, he did that for me big time. The plants around my house, I've taken so many pictures lately of weeds that I didn't appreciate. Just with just looking at this shit with those new eyes again is always helpful.
Well, we was talking about Rob, weren't we, earlier? And we didn't have Zack with us back then, and we certainly didn't have the level of scientific explanation that he provides. But I remember with Rob and the photos, as guys looking at him early on and seeing this, not even knowing what to call it, because Nathan's show kind of called it,
thing, right.
And dirty air as they've called it, but we called it mirror banding, didn't we? Really, and it was really interesting back donks ago.
We tried.
Well, I think we did. We figured our own shit out, and I don't think it's any different conclusions to what we're hearing today. It's just a bit less.
I much prefer Airy's diffraction. That's it's especially as Airy's was
much more
the
fancy.
the astronomer royale, and the originator of the Airy's experiment that showed the stars. I mean, it was one of the best experiments I've ever heard of. Once the penny dropped, it was the Airy's failure. They called it failure to show that the Earth was moving, and it's just so simple, and it's just brilliant. I loved it. And apparently FE Core are reproducing it, so I'm really looking forward to that. Why do I feel like I said all of that before?
Probably did.
Lunar Day.
All right, enough filling. Get on with it.
Well, I'll hand over to Zack then, really. I mean, it's probably best just to say, can you reiterate, really, in terms of ignoring the curve calculator nonsense, how perspective and observation affects what we see and how we see it, really?
Yeah, yeah, I can do that.
If you tell me what you need, Zack, and when you need it, pal, I'll try and get it ready.
Well, we'll just go over what Airy's diffraction is again, I guess, real quick. If you want to hit some of those slides, the Airy's diffraction ones. The one that looks like a water droplet would probably be the best to start.
Just bear with me then.
The one with the Airy's disc on it, actually. The red bullseye.
Bear with me, dude.
Yeah, and in every case, in your eyeball, in a telescope, in a camera, as long as it has a circular aperture, now an aperture is just a hole that which the light that you're looking at um, travels through. If it is a circular aperture, Airy's diffraction will take place every single time. It is nothing that you can get around. Now, what we're going to be showing you is a calculation for just the limit, the smallest amount that could be blocked. And then you throw in atmosphere and stuff like that. Okay, here we have what is called, in the top left corner there, is your Airy's disk. That is what a single pinprick of light will look like if you were looking straight at it. And then down in the bottom right, it has like a 3D, and then the 2D one right above it shows you, like, you see all these little humps above the x-axis line. Anything that dips below that x-axis is invisible. You can't, it doesn't make any light. It's not seen. That's why you get the bullseye pattern there. Okay, the next one with maybe an equation, a Rayleigh's criterion one. Yeah.
Oh, let's jump on that side. Bear with me.
Now this is just showing you the first part of the equation that I wrote out, and I used Rayleigh's criterion. And what Rayleigh figured out was how far apart. First of all, you have to have your lens size and your aperture, or just your aperture size. And it actually stands for that little equation at the bottom. That little circle with a line through it stands for radians. And radians equals 1.22 times that lambda up there stands for the wavelength of light divided by your diameter of your aperture. Now the 1.22, that is just the formula he came up with, or the ratio he came up with for a perfect nitrogen oxygen based atmosphere. So that's why it's the minimum, because this would be under perfect viewing conditions. The 1.22, he got that. 0 would be, of course, like a perfect vacuum, or a vacuum that he could at least create back then. And then 1.33, just to give you a kind of a roundabout, 1.33 is water, looking through pure water. 1.22. Now, we don't mess with that at all when we're trying to figure out. We don't mess with the 1.22 number ever. It never changes. We change the wavelength of light. We can change the diameter, stuff like that. Okay, next one. I'd say.
Maybe could you just explain
to the right.
this one, yeah?
Sorry.
This number 10, Zack, yeah?
No, not yet. How about number 4? I think that's it.
Bring it over.
Okay, now what this one is showing you is how two wavelengths of light interact with each other and how we perceive them. The first one in the top right, that's just a single pinprick of light and how it looks. We've seen that before in the earlier diagram. Now you go to the bottom left, and that is 2 pinpricks of light next to each other. Now, as the further away you get, as you move further back away from the light, or the light is moving away from you, you'll start to see what happens to the right there. The 2 light sources start to merge together almost. Now that right there, that is the angular resolution limit right there. That is the limit that those 2 lights can be differentiated from one another. You can tell them apart. And then as you go over to the right, you can see how that little hump that was in the middle separating them has now merged together. So that will all look like one light source. And you won't be able to see the two different ones anymore. It'll all just blend in and blur and make one. That's Airy's diffraction. That's how it works. The further away you get from the light sources, the closer together they get. And then your eye can only resolve things up to a certain point, or actually any lens with a certain diameter of aperture can resolve things to a certain point. No matter how big the lens is, every lens has an angular resolution limit.
This is probably the most important slide there is, in my opinion, in terms of how things merge into each other and create that Airy's diffraction band. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, we can do number 7. That's a good one. This one actually shows you in real life pictures that were taken, showing it work. As you can see there on the left, you have the two images that are completely, you can make out both of them. In the second image, you can see how they're just starting to merge together. They have a flat line in between them now. Whereas on the left, they were both perfect circles. Come here, Hanker-Pank. Come here. Sorry, I got to get him. People are coming walking by. Okay, come here, lay down. Lay down. Hey, lay down. Good boy. And then on the one to the right there, I know you're talking. That's a nice. You see how they have merged together and the line has become, they've even flattened out even more. And then at the top one there, it just makes a single light source. But that is pretty much what we're talking about when we talk about Airy's diffraction. Now, one thing you guys have to understand is when you're looking at, say, a tree off in the distance, the tree isn't a single light source. Every leaf is a light source. Every different color that you see would be considered a different source of light, a different light source. Even though it's all the same tree and it's mostly all the same color. Okay. They heard you. You be nice. Sorry.
Hank's agreeing with you, mate.
Right. That's what I thought exactly. He's like, right.
But as it's with every speckle on a tree, then it's also, say, those lights in the distance could be, street lights zoomed in across a lake or something. They could be buildings, they could be anything, but also, like you say,
source of light.
Yeah.
As soon as the color changes.
Well, see, this whole thing, this idea of that. Well, maybe it's not the same thing. Remember, I shared that story with you guys. I don't know. We really haven't talked about it on air. The technology they're developing that's basically taking the idea of how light sources from every place that you see throughout your day, going through tiny apertures like the crack of a door or the corner of a window or whatever, is constantly making these pinhole cameras everywhere around us. If you know what a pinhole camera is, you remember that from grade school or whatever. It makes the inverted image by a little tiny hole in a piece of cardboard. And so using that idea where there's these pinhole images all around us from light sources all around us, they're developing technology to read those pinhole light source images and basically develop the freaking technology that Decker was using in Blade Runner with Enhance, look around that corner, taking a picture and just looking in a room from the picture kind of shit. So yeah, every light being a source, that really feeds into that idea. This picture is blowing my mind though, the way this data you're showing us is. Yeah,
we've done the data there, haven't we? Maybe you could kind of there's a bit that kind of came up in Nathan's show, and I massacred it. Nathan's analogy, and so I'll have a little better go if I can. It gives the example of a.
Oh, not the shoes.
It's the shoes. I've got to try and do the shoes. You do the shoes better?
Get him on. No, I can't. No.
Right, let me do the shoes, and then I'll let Nathan take the piss in the week. Right. So, two guys. And for some reason, he makes some poor bloke take off his shoes. And they keep walking away. They keep walking and walking until eventually the shoes disappear, right? And then the other bloke goes, right, makes him go all the way back and stand where the shoes are. Now, even though he can't see the shoes, he can see all the bloke's legs from the shoes up. Or, put simply, why do boats disappear hull first as they go further
All right.
away?
Yeah, that's an easy one. Will you bring up, let's see, what number is that? 10, number 10.
Then, got a little previous there. There we go.
Guys, I've got to say, I am absolutely staggered by our professionalism and
Me and Zack's just
technical
smashing it, aren't we?
expertise here.
We're like
unbelievable.
We're like a finely oiled machine, Zack. There you go.
It's almost as if you have acetates and an overhead projector, and
It's easy days.
amazing.
Okay,
Sorry,
in this
carry on.
picture, this will explain why things, when you're closer to the surface, why things will disappear when they're nearer to a surface. Now, if you're nearer to a ceiling, things would disappear from the top first if you had a long enough, like a hallway, or if you were like had your head up against a wall, a really long hallway, things would disappear from the right hand side first. If you had your head up against the right wall, then they would on the left. It all has to do with these angles. So if you notice, the lines on the bottom, well, all the red lines are the same distance apart here. And then the yellow in the middle, that black line in between the yellow triangle, that is your horizon line, or where you're looking. Now the yellow is your angular resolution limit. That's your band of Airy's diffraction, showing that the further away it gets, the larger it gets, because it's an angle. Now, if you notice, the angles on the top lines are spread out much more than the angles on the bottom. And the angles on the bottom are actually closer to that yellow line than the angles on the top. So this all has to do with what angle of attack you're looking from. That's why I always call it the angle of attack, whichever angle you're looking from with your eyes. So if I kept drawing that yellow line out, going real far, and put a bunch of more red lines, all of these lines that were connecting would slowly get closer and closer to that yellow triangle. You see how that's happening with each one? As we go further out, they keep getting smaller. Now, eventually, once those lines start entering that yellow band, they will no longer be visible. They are within your angular resolution limit. So everything inside that line becomes blurred because of Airy's diffraction.
Yep.
The two light sources start combining, and then they just blur out to make one. So as you can see, the bottom lines would reach that yellow line first. And that is why the bottom of things get cut off first, because they reach the angular resolution limit quicker.
So can I do it with the shoes then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this first red line is where his shoes have disappeared, and he makes the bloke go and stand in them again. And he can see the bloke, but he can't see his feet and his shoes. And then he makes the bloke go to this line, and he disappears up to the knees. And then he goes up to here, and it all becomes a blur up to, his chest, etc., etc.
Yep.
That's where he's standing.
And so this was perfectly shown by Phuket Word with his lighter. I repeatedly go on about this with his lighter across the playground on a very small scale.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite videos.
And the one on top of the dam was very similar with the person that walked away and went to the left or to the right, and when you went up, they actually had gone to the left or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that one's an awful lot more complex because that's got the mirroring, and like you say, it disappears off to the right when he actually went off to the left. And this is what I was wondering about this diagram you've done here, Zach, that wonder if we could, why does it mirror? I mean, I'm just trying to see if maybe it bounces off that cone, the yellow cone, and inverts it, or it's acting
I
like
think to
a
me,
large pinhole camera sort of thing.
right, but
Sorry, Joe.
doesn't it speak a little bit to the idea that we talk about in the upper part of the atmosphere, of the lensing idea? I mean, there's still little water droplets all around us, even as we speak. Ask Zach; he was down here in them. Maybe that's part of it. Is it's a cousin to the mirroring effect of the distant sunlight under clouds, or the.
I think you're right. I think it comes down to the fact that our atmosphere is classed as a liquid, and as such, if you look through the bottom of a thick glass or whatever and zoom it in and out from your eye, things will invert, re-invert, go the right way up and upside down. It's got to be something to do with that. But
right. And my sincerest apologies for saying atmosphere. It's atmoplane. Again, my apology.
The maths, Zach, is based on 122. So that's just based on, well, you describe the atmospherics
nitrogen,
of that.
oxygen-based atmosphere only. There's no particulates, there's no water vapors, there's no heat distortion, there's no atmospheric seeing involved. Those are perfect conditions. So that's why this is your angular resolution limit. It's the minimum.
It's not talking any it's not talking about it being subject to any additional interference when we're talking these numbers, though, is it? That's atmospheric effects happen outside of this.
Yes, and it can only get bigger. The amount that will be cut off from the bottom of your buildings, your boats, your whatever you're looking at, this calculation we're about to show you will only give you the minimum.
That's got to beg the question is how they came up with this. If there is no sort of medium that your normal man could test it in, or woman, then this has got to be some sort of estimate that needs reaffirming in the real world, which obviously does have water droplets and air gunk. Don't know.
I know I've looked into it. It's very complicated trying to determine what the atmos plane is actually doing over large distances like that. Like when he did it,
as you say, it can only get worse.
Yeah, it can only get larger. The amount that's going to be cut off and distorted can only get bigger after you punch everything into this equation. This is just the limit that will be cut off, or the minimum.
Yeah, cool.
Will you bring up that equation now, Adam?
Yeah, no worries, bro.
Okay, sorry for the handwriting here. It was done with marker on a...
It's neater than mine, mate. It's neater than mine, that.
Okay, I know it looks like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, but it's really pretty simple once you understand what I'm doing here. Remember the circle with the line through it? That's the radian sign. So we have Airy or Rayleigh's criterion there at the top. Radians equals 1.22 times lambda over diameter, or wavelength of light over diameter. So this, you can actually punch in a P900, your eyeball, a telescope, anything you want to punch in, you can punch in with this. If you know the distance, the size of the object that you're looking at, and the wavelength of light and the diameter.
Would that be the diameter of the aperture, the pupil opening?
Yeah,
right, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so we go down to the next line, and this is pretty much just converting your radians over to degrees. So I have x degrees equals radians times 180 degrees over pi. That's how you figure it out. So then you have your angle, and you have, that's x equals a, and you come down to the little triangle, and you're trying to find the little a there. how much is going to be cut off at the distance of B when you have an angle of the large A. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just
So that's what
re-clarify the radians to degrees, though. They're different things, and all you're doing really is the equivalent of converting feet to meters or whatever, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's no more complicated than that.
Exactly. It's just so people understand degrees and they're more familiar with degrees. Radians has to do with, it's pretty much the same. I think it was pretty much made to, muddy the waters.
Complicate things,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is exactly what it's probably doing. But yeah, just to say that this is just a unit conversion.
Yeah, it's mostly used in complex maths to be able to manipulate degrees as pi radians, because it expresses it. So it's just a different way to easily manipulate numbers. Is the kind of way I learnt it at A-level maths.
Well, when I came up against
in terms
it, it was
of
because
formulas.
of you, Adam, talking about the fact that the spreadsheet you were using only, I think it was Excel, only works in radians.
Yeah.
I mean, how obvious does it have to get that these things are put there to confuse the tits off you if you don't have a simple thing in something as universal as Excel to show in degrees rather than radians? I mean, who works in radians? But there is a difference, isn't there?
It's just a different way of expressing the same thing. Or simply so. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, and then the next line is real simple. To find A, the little a, or how much is going to be distorted, you just do A equals your distance times tangent. You get into the whole, what is that, trig?
Sokotoa or whatever it's called, isn't
Yeah, all that nonsense. And then the very bottom one, I break it in half because, of course, it's only so much above your observer height and below your observer height. It'll always be equal, the amount that's distorted. So if you're only 5 feet off the ground, that's why I cut it in half. You don't always have to do the bottom one. But if you're only 5 feet off the ground and say it's going to be 17 feet above and below, that's about 10 miles. You get about 34 feet at 0.038, I believe, angular resolution limit. You'll get about 34 feet total. So you break that in half and you make it 17 feet. But since you're not 17 feet off the water, you divide it into 2 and then you just add the observer height to it. So it would really be 5 plus 17, which would be 22 feet.
Wow, that lost me totally. But essentially, you're just reconfiguring it. Reconfiguring it for the proportion that's above your horizon, below your horizon. Is that?
Yeah. Well, see, when you figure out the little a,
yeah,
that's for the whole size of the angular resolution limit. So half of that will be above your eye line, and the other half will always be below your eye line.
But say A is 50 foot and you're 6 foot, then that's not going to be half and half.
No, 31 feet would be your answer. Yeah, because you break it in half and you just take the top half that's above your eye height, and then you add the 6 to it because you're only 6 feet off the ground. You can't add in the whole 25.
Okay, I've got you. I have got you. I'm not just placating you.
And my non-mathematical butt is actually getting that one as well. So go, man.
There you go. But yeah, real simple. And I think it's mathematically sound. I've asked a mathematician, and he said he looked at it and it seems all right, but he doesn't want to come out and say it's right just yet. He's an academic, and academics like to tie their shoes like 10 times to make sure they're the perfect length and they make sure everything is perfect before they go and put it out.
They also like their paycheck, and it
Yeah.
would be a real clanger to say, yeah, I agree with a flat earther.
Yeah, well, this person is a flat earther as well. Yeah, so that's not his problem.
I
He's
bet he
a
hasn't
perfect-
told his boss that.
I think
he has, though.
Zach, I think
Tell George.
in terms of its validity, I think mathematically it's certainly valid. In terms of it, I think the only tweak is when you stand up how that triangle might change. But I think certainly as a rule of thumb, when observer height's low and based on basically a person or just being slightly high, I don't think there's any issue whatsoever. I think it's spot on, but the maths is correct.
I think most of us are slightly high.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
Tomorrow.
It's
Zach's higher
it's
than
just
he's ever been.
it's
right now.
CBDs only, Zach.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
making a
Zach,
trip into Colorado tomorrow.
You are higher than you've ever been, aren't
Yes,
you?
I am. I went over 5,500 feet today. Actually, 5,800 feet today. It was, definitely the highest I've ever been. I've never been out west here. And
Did you feel
that-
lighter?
Hey, the whole
Oh, not so much
oxygen.
lighter, easier to breathe. Come here, Bubba.
Okay, that's
Okay.
what I was about to warn you about. That easier to breathe thing you're experiencing will get you in trouble. My brother was at a casino in Pahrump or somewhere in Nevada, hit a big jackpot, got excited, walked quickly, didn't run, didn't jump up and down, just walked quickly across the casino floor to go tell his wife and the family that he'd hit a nice jackpot. The next thing he knows is being woken up on the floor by the paramedics in the casino, giving him oxygen and telling him to watch out. Don't take off running in an area you're not familiar with around here until you acclimatize yourself to this. It is really crazy.
And
Hell,
did
I
they
did
also
Grand
did they
Canyon.
also say what winnings?
I don't remember what he hit. That wasn't huge. Just they play around with small slots. That's their thing. But just the movement got him. I did it to myself at the Grand Canyon with my mom, thinking I could walk down a little switchback trail that we were standing next to because it was on the sign and had been used for hundreds of years to get to the canyon floor. I wasn't going to go to the canyon floor, but I was going to take a few cutbacks and take a photograph or two. I had to sit down about 13, 14 times on the way back. My two little cutbacks I went down. It was ridiculous. I couldn't breathe. It was scary.
Before we stray too far, guys, there's one last bit that I really wanted to show in terms of Zach's work. We've done the
Let's
maths.
put it into real life.
Yeah,
with
you
Ranty.
mentioned early Ranty's vid, and I'll kind of stick it up now and press play, and I think in his video he'll demonstrate.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, but you're sharing your preview screen, so I got excited.
There you go. So you can see this stuff now. I'll try and pause it actually. In terms of what Zack was saying. And this, I think, is just one of the most awesome bits of footage that is captured. You can see on the bottom one, you can see the boat, the Stena Line name. If you look at the relative sizes, there's a better picture later that shows the relative sizes of the tops of these two boats, and they're not far off each other. But what you're starting to see is where the angular resolution is having its biggest effect. You can really start to see the compression of the Stena Line. The interesting thing is, compared to the bottom, look, you can still see, even though faintly, the orange of the under.
That's what I was going to say. That I don't think that's the angular resolution limit. That's more or less an atmospheric compression.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well. I was going to say that this it is complicated, no matter how we're trying to simplify it. But you're dealing with the compression, with the atmosphere, I call it that for whatever better reason.
I know, I was just being dumb.
Angular resolution. No, because it is true. I mean, hemisphere at the very least should be, but anyway, it's a soup
Well, the
of all
complexity
sorts of things going
right,
on.
Exactly. The complexity of it reminds me of back when I was so big into games. I would always read these gamer magazines, and this guy named Peter Molyneux who made this awesome game on the computer, black and white. If you haven't played it, you should have. It was awesome. But his whole thing was to try, like his ultimate goal of a game would be to create a room where everything worked. Dust would fall. Drafts of currents in the room would blow that dust around. When you walked outside, the atmosphere would reflect sun and shit like that correctly. Fluid dynamics, that whole thing. And this was like probably, well, whenever black and white came out, 2000, 98, 99, something like that, he was trying to figure all this out. So that complexity, we're seeing it. We're seeing it with all these different effects we keep seeing. The biker going left instead of right. The name being weirdly compressed and slanted over like it is. That orange, this whole
Well, he
thing.
would have had to have studied this stuff as well, wouldn't he, to actually program that into a program.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And that study could only be based on real life observations. And this is what we're doing. So we're probably improving gamer quality no end. You remember when GTA came out and you'd get the heat hazes along the street?
Right. That was like excitement. Like, how do we do it?
Yeah, exactly. But, at some point they're going to be zooming in on islands off the coast and, they'll be like, disappears from the bottom up. And, oh, look, I can't see that Airy's diffraction. Sorry.
I still get tickled every time I hear that said, Airy's diffraction. Like,
So, Zach, with Airy's diffraction, then, where is Airy's diffraction in these?
Right across.
This is the top, and then the bottom's coming up, isn't it? So, just explain how you view this, then.
See how the water almost changes colors? Yeah, how it gets lighter blue right there. I'm not sure. It's hard to.
I don't think this is an example of Airy's diffraction, other
Well,
than the fact
on the
that
right
I
one, you can
reckon.
see a little bit. The red line is gone on the right one.
I imagine right up close, that red line under the Stena line is really quite thick. And the sliver that we're seeing of it on the left, and even more of a sliver on the right, is where the Airy's diffraction would be happening. There'll be birds sitting on the top of the water, near it, that you can't see. I'm not sure this is the best example of Airy's diffraction.
Would you bring up my paint can one?
Yeah, I want to come to this. I know it's a certain aspect of it for me. If you look at it, what you've got here is the 30-foot observation and the 1 foot. So as we were talking earlier with the calculation where we add in the observer height, this is the kind of observer height function. And like I was saying, when you get to much higher heights, I think that formula needs a slight adjustment, because that higher observer height allows for greater incorporation. Let's call this 50 foot here. And it allows a longer lingering of the angle open to it. Whereas here, at greater distance,
it's a larger angle of resolution.
Yeah, the angle is slightly smaller when observed from 1 foot at the same distance as when it is at 30 foot. The angle is reduced, so the image is compressed that little bit more.
I'd say it's quite considerably reduced. But yeah,
What I'll do, Zack, is leave it with you, and I'll play some of your stuff. In terms of the distance effect, like I said, this is more height effect.
Yeah, this is a height one. It's
Okay.
harder to tell because it's just the angle.
Yeah. But within your
And not the
formula, you see, it's pertinent, and it does show how.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How it works.
Yeah, and height, I think, plays a big. As we all know, the higher you go up, the further you can see, easier, because it opens up that bottom half. On that first diagram you were showing, how the bottom half compressed more than the lower. If you're stood on a mountain, that compression is pretty much equal for all intensive purposes, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So it kind of demonstrates that at ground level and short altitude, that angle has quite a big impact.
I'd say if the ferry was moving away from you, abnormally, it was traveling away from you, then at some point you wouldn't see that Stena line signage at all, and that would be the effect.
And then once you get so low to the ground and so far.
Yeah, it's just about the exact same as lowering. Going further away or just lowering yourself down, you're going to decrease that angle between your eye height and the bottom water. So either backing up or going down is going to make that angle smaller, and it's going to make your angle of attack, or whatever angle you're looking at, you're going to see less and less the further away you go or the closer down you go.
Yeah, I agree.
And this one's just showing me going at a distance now, how it happens.
And you're telling me they're paint cans?
Yeah, those are paint lids. Yep. And I did the coloring. I colored them in blue like that.
I thought they were sort of porcelain, china blue tops or something. Yeah, I had no idea.
And now you could see the mirroring starting to take place there. It hasn't really cut into it too much. You can still see most of the lid. Now you're starting to see the bottom parts of the lid being cut off there on the left. That blue line is starting to merge together. And then eventually it'll cut off a lot of the bottom of that blue line.
This, along with Phuket Word's cigarette lighter in the park, are one of my favorite videos, by the way.
There you go. Now you really see them starting to merge. And that hole in it on the right will look like one giant hole eventually. And you can see it's got a good 2 inches from the edge of the hole down to the bottom, which is just, it disappears. You can't see it anymore. It's being diffracted together.
Brilliant. And you later went on to do the same experiment with a torch, showing how over a flat level surface with distance, the torch line would disappear too into Airy's diffraction. Bang.
And it was cool because it did it bottom up.
Yeah,
it looked kind of like the sun setting. I think Taboo Conspiracy actually did a video, a comparison from what I had put up to a real sunset, and matched up the images. It was a good one.
That's right. Yeah, that was brilliant. It just shows you how simple these experiments are, but yeah, seminal as far as I'm concerned. Really cool.
I'll see if I can find that one, Zack. Maybe lower down, isn't it?
Yeah, this was a while back. Before the electricity, before the rice, before the lasers.
Rice, lasers, lids. We've got lids.
Here we
sunset
go.
mimic.
Right there. Yeah. Now this same thing, every 20 foot, I took a picture and was moving back. And this one was neat because I did it from both ends of the factory, and it happened from both ends. Actually, one end it happened quicker. I believe because the ceiling fans were on and it was hotter down there. So there was more atmospheric seeing going on, more air being pushed around and moved.
Oh, shit. That would make sense. Absolutely. With that distance in there.
Yeah, I learned so much from doing these experiments right here.
How long is that warehouse?
460 feet was, if I could do it by 20 feet intervals. And there was maybe, I don't know, 15 feet more, something like that. That I just made sure I had enough room. I don't even know where I'm down at the one end of the warehouse, showing that those big giant exhaust fans were open and turned on. I'm just doing a little bit of walking around, talking right now at the beginning, showing what I'm hoping to see and yada, yada, yada.
And that shows exactly like, with Ranties and the Isle of Man and all the footage, how on one day you can get an image and how, as you're saying, from one end you get a certain image, and when you've got to travel through a different atmosphere, when you view it from the other end, you're getting a different resolution. That's quite cool, for want of a better, you know what I mean, as to confirm that even small atmospheric differences in that small distance can have an effect on visibility.
I know I messed up too. I had a good one where it showed I could see the whole light from one end to the other. It was in the wintertime, I think, or it might have been the fall. It was just a perfect time where the front of the warehouse was not much different than the back of the warehouse. All the fans were turned off, so there wasn't as much air moving around through there. And I could see the whole distance of the warehouse, the light all the way on the ground. Where on this one, I got about halfway down the warehouse and the light was gone. But I accidentally erased all that right when I was doing it, right after I did it. So yeah, like you were saying, atmosphere plays such a huge role. And then, yeah, here's where it gets good. Here's why I got it.
And I've heard ballers, when I've given them your videos to see this stuff, or just in general talking about how you can't reproduce the sun and the distance and all that in a small area. You have to have a life-size reproduction. They don't have to give us a reproduction, but we have to give them one. I've seen things where, even in, like you say, in that building, having different atmosphere from one end to the other. Hell, I've seen them make it rain inside of a terrarium bottle thing. You can have so many different types of atmosphere. Zack can tell you here in South Louisiana, it can change from 1 minute to the next. From one area of a bayou, you'll get a completely different feeling, a completely different atmospheric pressure on you. It's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird how quickly it changes down there. Just ability to breathe. I'm big on that.
You escaped. You're in the dry area. You made it.
Yeah. Oh, man, trying to breathe down there. It was, seriously, that first day I was down there, when I woke up that next morning, we went for a walk. It felt like I was trying to breathe water.
And you missed the fog. The fog rolled in about 2 days after you left, and every morning I would do my little walks. It was foggy, so yeah.
I wasn't even really watching. Yeah, see how it's cutting it off from the bottom, though? And the light's slowly disappearing?
I think the point of all of this and all the contributing factors to what we see is to blanket say this is the curve of the Earth, is to be now, if you've seen this, intellectually dishonest. There's so much more going on, and there's so much more that can be explained without any curvature of Earth. It's I think it's just brilliant.
I don't think we would see a perfect mirroring like this right here. I don't think we would see that on a curve. The more I think about it, I haven't proven it yet. I'm looking for a good curve, but I don't think we would see that.
No, well, Phuket Word came out with a good video. Adam, I don't know if you had that pulled up or not. He came out with one today. It's about 3 minutes long, where he sort of challenges you to declare whether what you're seeing is a curve or is flat, and then makes a fantastic point which just simply blows Soundly's Pontchartrain nonsense out of the water.
Do you want me to line it up in a minute? Give me let this play.
Look
and
at that diffraction. See that diffraction?
Yeah, line out for about 15 minutes time. You know, it's no rush. 30 minutes should do it.
And the bottom's being cut off there.
Did you?
You're a
Did you get that?
You're a sarky
bastard.
A sarky sod savage.
Do you want me to line it up? I just spent a minute filling.
I can't. Hey,
line it up.
I've only got one YouTube. I can't go hunting for another one until I've finished playing this, and I'm just. You give me more credit than I have, Mr. Savage.
I'd share it this end, but I don't think it would go out anywhere. Although you are doing a sterling job, Mr. Meakin, I must say.
Yeah. Holding it together. That computer upgrade you said, it seems to be working. It's coping with it fine, mate.
Nice.
So what we got here, Zack? That barometer?
I think I'm showing it's a thermometer, hygrometer. Just showing the humidity and the temperature difference at both ends. I always did this with all of them. Now this is from the other end. And this one didn't take nearly as long. As you can see, it's like instantly starting to mirror, whereas on the other one, it took a while.
Look familiar? Looks like most sunsets you've seen, eh?
So just which way round is the moistest air, for want of a better phrase?
This would be the more moist air that I'm looking into on this one, whereas the other one, we're looking into drier air.
So the bottom end of that hole we're looking at now is more moist than where you are.
Yes. All right, Adam.
I'm liking the word moist.
You sound like my kid is shouting headshot.
Look at that. Look at that teeny tiny bit of light that's getting through there. That just blows my mind.
Pinhole camera.
And then like that, it's gone.
Yeah. It's like what? Look at the level of mirroring though that's going off there.
Yeah, that mirror is cutting all that off right there. As you can see on the left, you see that dark line in between the two brown, where it's. Do you have your cursor? Can you move your cursor around?
Yeah.
Now on the left, you have a white stripe on the bottom, then it turns a little bit brown. Then you get a dark band through the middle of that. Then it goes brown again, and then white up at the top. No, over to the left more.
Oh, sorry, that. Yeah.
Yeah, right in there. It goes white, brown, and then a line, and then it goes brown again, and then white. That dark line in between there, if you go all the way over to the right, following that, that's what's cutting that light off.
You can see where that is, and it's this point here where we see where the light still is.
Just a little tiny bit of light still above it that's showing.
Yeah. So we'd maybe say wherever the horizon is, or wherever the torch still is, look at what's now pretending to be created as what would be described as Earth curvature or hump, as they'd like to phrase it. Look at the even just in that hole, the amount of the picture that's.
And like I say, if
and that
you
would
can
be seen,
ignore
but
this,
just say,
that's
John, that
just
would be
dishonest.
Yeah, but that would be seen if this was blue sky. Look, that's going to then be seen as at least blue. When we looked at those other pictures of Ranties, there was layers of different shades of blue, and I think you can see here if you've got blue sky and distance, that can quite easily blend into the sea, and this look like quite clearly
especially
like
over water.
Yeah,
water is going to look about the same as the sky usually, except it has ripples and waves and whatnot in it. And when you combine the two colors, it kind of just blends them together and makes one color. So they're already close to being the same color. It's going to be real hard to see the band that it creates.
Riley gave me a good heads up. What you kind of look for is mirroring of the clouds. So in this area here, look for replication of patterns up here in the clouds, and that kind of gives you a much better indication of how deep the mirror layer is kind of encroaching into the image. Yeah, that's
and the
cool.
size of it, that's what makes it so hard. The size of it always changes, determining on what the atmosphere is doing. Like when they did all these experiments and tests to try to find the limit, they did it with a lens and an aperture that was only like 20 something feet away. And they had the perfect nitrogen, oxygen atmosphere. Hold on, I think somebody's pulling them.
I love it. Certainly makes my top 5 videos.
I'll let it disappear.
Another one was, well, I'll save it for the solstice show.
Yeah, I was so cheesed making this video because I was not expecting it to happen the way it did.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah, the grin I had on my face right after it happened, I was just like, holy shit, no way. I'm going around showing everybody. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of people are quiet about being flat earthers and stuff. Everybody at work. I was doing this stuff right in the middle of work while we were working.
Zack, just to do a comparison, that's the light disappeared at one end, and this is it about to disappear. That's it disappeared at the other.
Yeah, it already disappeared. Yep.
And that's
you can kind of see the mirroring taking place there as well.
But that's the difference in image resolution based on the differences of just that warehouse from one end to the other, yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Well, yeah, I think it was like 18% different humidity from one end to the other that day. It might be 16. And like 15 to 20 degrees difference. That's what I loved about that warehouse. Was one end was an actual just storage warehouse, and the other one had a bunch of plastic mold injection machines that run at 470 degrees. So it was always way hotter down at one end than the other. And the humidity was always different. So it was a good place to play around with that kind of stuff. And then throughout the year,
microcosm, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was perfect.
And
they all knew what I was doing. Yeah. I know. I got away with murder in that place.
I'm sure they'll welcome you back.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever make it back there.
He already asked me if I was ready to come back, and I hadn't even started my journey yet.
Oh, dear. Well, I reckon we've done Airy's diffraction to death and mirror banding and all sorts of plane, sphere, hemisphere, all stuff. We had a ton of other crap to get through, didn't we?
I thought you wanted me to do that 3 minutes.
Anybody have any questions on that before we jump out of there?
Yeah, good man.
Anybody in the chat or anything?
I wasn't polite enough to wait till the end for questions, but Josh, I don't know. I heard you a minute ago.
Yeah, I already forgot. I don't know. It wasn't a question. It was something pertaining to nothing in particular, as I recall.
Don't moving us along.
Not even. Probably not. Derailing, maybe. Let me see. Where were we? I was something Adam said I was responding to, but I don't remember.
Any questions in chat? Anything coming up? Well,
oh hell, I've been paying attention to the Skype screen, keeping up with this. I really have not been in chat. I'm sorry. My apologies too to everyone in chat. I usually am over there hanging out, you know this, but I was really wrapped up in this whole thing, trying to wrap my head around it. So I'm just
having a quick look. Well,
Ranty just popped a new video in chat.
I see that.
Maybe debut that here.
Man, we got all kind of people in there. Look, I saw Alan was in there at one point from our crew there over there on the morning show that hangs out with us. Good to see him over here in the afternoon. Oh, goodness, all kind of people.
Sorry.
Hey, everybody.
Back a little bit ago, too. I've been out running errands, doing whatever. We're puppy sitting, so I had to help introductions amongst dogs. So,
Vagabond, welcome back in the house. Glad to see you around for a good minute, I hope, this time. Very rare to see you. Glad to have you.
As much as we have you in chat, thanks so much for taking time to pop in. I know it's you have to use your effing time sparingly.
Right?
Is it time to play Vagabond's contribution?
Could that be an ultimate segue or what?
In about 15 minutes or 30, whatever.
I'm just going to say, don't go throwing it. I've just lined up.
Gave us permission if we'd like to play his video. We definitely are welcome to, he said there in chat.
Well, I'll play John's. One from Phuket Word.
Man, everybody, hey in chat. I see you all. I love you all. I'm not even going to try to play catch up at this point. Goodness. Thank you all for being here.
And then I'll line up Gravity Walt. How's that?
It's probably been and gone, Adam, to be fair. What I'd love to do is put a shout out to, I think it's Nick at Phuket Wood, and see if he would like to come on and talk us through some of the amazing stuff he's done. I don't use that word often, but...
Is he in chat?
I think he has been before, but I don't know.
But I'm trying to see here.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
But maybe it's just time for Vagabond's remix.
Wait 1 second.
Yeah, this has really grown on me a lot.
I just have to wait for the Wix advert.
Save it to your desktop. Save it local.
I've saved it twice and my icon keeps disappearing. So then I'll make a third copy, drop it there. We've already got 2 here. Are you sure you want to make another copy, or you want to just replace it, or you want to delete it? What do you mean there's 2 there? I don't see them. So I'll go ahead and drop it in there, and then I can see 1, but then I'll restart my computer or something, and then they'll have 3 icons. And then
that also speaks to the algorithms that play around with our crap and turn off our notifications and stuff like that. And that, I see something here in chat about Spirit of Longthorn apparently lost a crap load of videos off of their channel. So, caveat, everybody, if there's something you like, go download it and keep it for everybody, off the internet on the hard drive, because they will take your stuff and delete it without a warning.
Save it to your 5 1/4 inch floppy drive, and your 3 1/2 inch floppy.
Right, if you have an old cassette memory from the.
You told me off.
Run it on there.
Okay.
Hey, I just mentioned floppy. You're the one that's mine is
right. Well,
have you got that bloody song
as you can see, that's enough, Phil. So, gents, if you mute your mics, then we'll maybe hand over for a little break and a little bit of Gravity, yeah? All right, here we go, guys.
Waiting.
Mute your bloody mic.
We're up pretty high, our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery. They've got a hold of me, they won't let go of me. Let go. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you. Oh, you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you, oh, you defy gravity.
Fear is my killer. Fear is the little death. This is Uncle Walt from the Ironworks. Josh, Corey, and I have chosen to look at life with no fear. No fear of the unknown. No fear of questions about the supposedly well-known. No fear of ridicule for thinking outside the familiar fool's lines. No fear of the boot on the neck of those refusing the party line. No fear of taking on those so convinced of their beliefs they would sooner drink the Kool-Aid than believe they've been fools made. In this world filled with me too, cattle think, can truth's protective layers be peeled back to show the tender, juicy pink? Are we all just grist for the mill? Souls sold against our will, or is that just how it feels? When you're filled to the rim with trivialities so fear-filled and grim, break clear of the fear. Right here, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. on TFR. Josh and I and you will hammer out the impurities of technology-driven groupthink, fold in a dash of logic, and quench it all with a bit of absurdity. The Ironworks. Break clear of the fear.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch.
It doesn't get much more clearer than that right there.
What else
You
would
see,
expect from smart
life, the universe, and everything explained.
Science, bitch.
Savage.
Yes, science.
Josh, I know nobody else will maybe appreciate that, but that was something wonderful, mate.
Oh, it was brilliant.
I'm glad you like it. I do have fun.
That was the...
Welcome back to the second half of the Iron Realm Media's Have No Sphere.
Absolutely. And for
.com.
clarification, Ranty Flat Earth is asking, what was that song called? It's a little tune called Gravity. By our friend. I guess she's our friend. Cheyenne. Go check her out over there on SoundCloud.
She talked
She
to us.
was a young child.
You exchanged emails with her management.
Yes.
That's enough to friendly.
That's close enough.
So I've got Ranty's new thing lined up. 5 minutes odd. Shall we give it a full air? Stick it on and
Go
give
for
it a watch? It's
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah. Do it.
do it. What's it entitled? Compelling evidence that inferior mirages hide the flat Earth. So lovely. Okay, guys.
Some amazing scintillation there.
Has it got any sound?
I filmed the Stena Hibernia as it disappeared into the distance. As the boat got further away, the atmosphere,
John, you're not
coupled
gonna
with a
hear the
narrowing
flat
of the
Earth.
viewing angle, allowed an inferior mirage to start to form. This is
Be
the
nice
point
to hear
where
Randy,
the
though.
inferior mirage started, and I have placed a red line so it can be easier to see where the mirroring started to show. You will
There's
note
your soundbite,
that
Randy.
everything below the red line is in actual fact a replica image of the boat above, the same as if you placed a coin on a mirror. Here you can see what the Stena Hibernia looks like from a similar angle without any atmospheric issues to contend with.
Are we meant to be hearing something?
In this video,
Can you not hear it, John?
No. No.
No, you haven't been sharing the sound with us here in Skype.
I didn't hear gravity either.
Yeah, I had to go to YouTube and jam to gravity, so I just figured you were punishing us for some reason.
I had to lean real close to be able to watch the subtitles so that I could see when to cue up the next music.
Right.
I can't.
And then even more kudos to you, Josh.
Josh is the shite.
He just mixed that in as I finished. I thought that was beautiful. Quick, pause.
He's
Stop what I'm doing.
And you're that Adam.
Yeah. Well, I can only apologise. So I'm not restarting it. I think everybody else has heard it, but hopefully you'll hear it now. Just tell me if not.
We see a dog and the pet's owner on a beach 1 mile away.
You what?
No, I do not hear anything.
That would be a negatory.
Well, that's not good for you, is it? Fine at my end. Is it okay in chat?
Stop sharing your screen. Reshare it with sound.
Check to see if I was being punished again, and I found out that I was. So I just.
What chat is hearing it?
I was hearing it on YouTube a moment ago.
Ranty says he's hearing it, so somebody's hearing. People are hearing it. Just not.
Yeah.
Well, screw you then. Screw you.
Shut up.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Catch up on YouTube like everyone else, honestly. Getting on. Just, you're so demanding. I'm doing my best. Right. Play. Stop ruining Ranty's. This is good shit, this is. Stop it.
Just play the fucking thing.
Stop moaning then.
Hear it.
Man,
honestly.
just play it so they can enjoy it. We'll watch it later.
Right.
The camera height is 3 feet. At this distance, there is no pseudo-curvature, and so we have a clear line of sight. Notice how the dog is on the sand, and yet its legs and mid-body are hidden by an inferior mirage, which is causing a mirroring downwards of the sky above. Yes, the blue underneath the dog and its owner is a reflection of the sky. Notice how it only affects the very smallest angle, resulting in only the lowest parts being hidden. Later in this video, the entire dog is hidden behind a wall of mirage, and this has absolutely nothing to do with any curvature of the Earth. If the dog's owner walked away from the camera, they too would be hidden behind the same mirage. This is also the critical angle at which different things start to happen to distant objects. Coupled with inferior mirages, that narrow viewing angle can also cause our eyes and camera to compress anything that gets in that area. Take a look at some images taken of the same boat at different heights, therefore narrowing the viewing angle to the hull and below. The width of the boat stays the same. Anything outside the critical angle stays the same in apparent size. Yet once the critical angle has been breached, the compression is severe. All the hull is visible on the Stena Hibernia here. See the wording and the orange hull beneath? Yet its height is drastically different up to the mid part of the boat. This is a very good example of the critical angle and what happens in that area. You will notice as the filming continues on the boat, its angular size changes. In effect, it gets smaller as it moves away. Not only is it moving away, more of it is being pushed by virtue of its angular size change into the critical angle mentioned before. Now we have two issues to contend with. The boat's hull is now being compressed, and the boat's midframe is also being hidden behind a wall of mirage. The object we are looking at is almost unrecognizable from the boat we saw at the beginning. It appears as just a smudge floating above the water. Now let's take both observations and see if there are any similarities. So there are two factors to consider when viewing things in the very narrow viewing angle, essentially trying to see things at around 90 degrees to yourself. Compression is a very real, observed phenomenon, which also acts to hide boats and distant buildings from the bottom up. We are only just starting to look at our environment with a fresh approach and fresh data that casts huge doubt on the presupposition we live on a ball. There is no scientific evidence for the ball model. Remember this when you look back at this video. The science we have is in its infancy, but already it is more compelling than believing that water is sticking to a spinning ball. Do we have all the answers yet? Well, no. But science being conducted all over the world is showing that there is no curve to be found. People are starting to wake up and question. Ask yourself, are you going to partake of the blue pill or the red pill?
That was awesome.
With the Bill and Ted flourish. I love it, my friend. Oh, I love it.
I got all kinds of stuff on there.
I finally got everything muted and unmuted and watching through YouTube and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well done, Ranty. I'm going to go and actually watch it properly.
The real video, right?
I'm going to actually watch it.
It was brilliant if you missed it.
I saw most of it, if that counts.
I think if you heard it, it was obviously, for me, it kind of exemplifies what we were talking about, and then he's...
So what did he say, Adam? Those of us
Don't go putting me on the spot like that. I was mixing, I was doing all sorts of stuff. I was hoping you guys would have caught up at least.
I was trying to go back in the chat to grab that link from Ranty, but apparently they're only allowing us to go back a certain amount of chat now. That's not something I remember before.
All part of the service, man. Get what you pay for.
Well, I'm paying for absolutely shite. That's what I get. So
they'll be there tomorrow morning.
Well, yeah, that's crazy that I can't go see the link. Drop that link again, Ranty, so I can watch the real video. Adam denied us the sound.
Just so selfish.
You heard it though, Adam, yeah?
Yeah.
That's
I have a link.
Not the definition of selfish then at all. Quality.
I shared it with everyone else by you, like.
Right, selfish with everyone else.
So hence why we're fumbling around looking at our navels now, wondering what to talk about.
Well, I'm going to play it again.
I just clicked on that link. Dude, I love your intro music. That is heavy. Where'd you get that, Ranty?
It's probably one of yours, Walt.
I don't know. That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty awesome stuff.
I'm playing it again without the sound, so I can enjoy it how you guys did. But hopefully to jog my memory as well.
So I think the bit without the sound, and we'll talk about
makes for cracking radio.
Really? Well, please, Ranty, get me in touch with Flat Earth Audio. I would definitely love to do some collaboration. That's awesome jam. Speaking of collaboration, I actually got a note I saw as we got live here from Norb. Let me go see what he said.
Don't let Candy hear you say that. She's going to wonder why he isn't contacted.
Oops. Yep. I don't know what. Who? Prank caller.
I'm still waiting for my new theme tune.
Well, he's breaking out with that website. Now you're going to make me look it up because I'm going to feel like a dick when I get it wrong. So I can't get it wrong. I just got to figure out where to find it.
And I know you shared it with me, but I can't help you. It's gone as well.
Well, that's one of those things that you'll go to the website, and what you won't see are any icons as globes. And that's as a direct result of this show. When they first launched, when they first got this idea together, their little icon was a globe. and there was somebody in chat that called him out on it. Hey, Norb, you need to talk to your boys about this whole globe thing as an icon, because that's just not going to work for us flat earthers. So he said he had to talk to him, and if you go look now, you can't find a globe on there. There may be a couple little, heliocentric references, but not the icons.
It's a little bit new liberal, isn't it? Having to ban stuff that offends us.
Spare music is what it's called. See, I would have totally effed that up had I tried.
What is it again?
Sparemusic.com.
Does anybody know where tarantulas live? Do they live in holes or do they make webs?
They make webs, as I recall.
I just want to know what I need to look for.
Trapdoor spiders live in the ground, and there are some tarantulas. Go ahead.
Spider big enough to see while I was driving my truck down the highway.
Yes.
Crossing the highway. It's like, oh my God, it just freaks me out. I've never been able to spot a spider before crossing the road, doing 55 miles an hour.
Always been the zoo for me, Zach. But how big are they there?
I mean, this one, it was huge, man.
He drove past it, and it was still, he could see it clearly enough to watch it jump back away from the truck.
What was its angular resolution at distance? What was it?
I drove right over it. I don't know how.
Too fucking big.
Yeah, way too big. Big enough to see while I was driving. That's too big.
It was enough to make Zack hit the gas.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not pulling over and taking a picture of that thing.
I remember being in Africa and lying down on the floor with my pillow, blow up pillow, and turning the pillow over. I was reading a Stephen King novel, big fattest book I could find because I had a lot of hours to waste.
The Stand.
And turned the pillow over, and there was the biggest frickin' baboon spider, which I think is part of the tarantula brigade.
Yes, they are.
Black and yellow thing stuck to my pillow. I nearly shit my pants. And then a couple of months later, I had moved from my off-the-ground bed that you've got, Zach. Realised it was too much like a coffin. I couldn't sleep properly, to my on-the-ground bed, and had the fly sheet over me, and woke up in the middle of the night to a rustling sound, and found a similar sized black and yellow enormous freaking spider, the biggest resolution size you can possibly imagine, on the inside of my fly sheet.
Oh, man.
And at that point I turned over and went back to sleep. 2 months into Africa, you find that fucker on the inside of your fly sheet. What is the point in doing anything?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably why I haven't been there. Oh.
I didn't mention the jumping ones in the toilet. These jumping spiders that could go 6 feet quite happily, and I don't know, they were just like
no, see,
cross between a cricket and a
that's
spider.
Not even supposed to be around. That's from outer ring crap. That's not normal. Get that the frick away from me.
And the snakes on the way to the long drop, they
I'm
were
fine with
interesting.
snakes. I can deal with them.
And then there was the monster-sized ants that would just come up your foot and just bury these 2 pincers into your leg, knowing full well that you're just going to come down and either slap them or pull their body off. Or, I mean, these pincers, they're so useful or so effective. They're used to sew up wounds and stuff.
Yes.
They take these ants and I can attest to that. These things just run up you. They're like kamikaze ants and just bury their incisors into you, knowing they're going to die. But yeah,
I thought Rob had it bad down there. Goodness.
This was all on a little
Over there.
island called Mafia Island. Anyway, I don't know what I'm filling for, but that's my experience with spiders and creepy crawly things.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see one up close and get some good pictures. I'll be careful though. I don't know. You guys saw that picture of that lizard I put in.
Yeah, that lizard is crazy.
That was with my phone too. That wasn't even with my camera. It let me get like 5 inches away from it, and it was just chilling there. I was just sitting there talking to it at first. It came like running up and then it stopped right in front of me. I put a little bit of water down. It didn't drink from it or anything. But I was just sitting there. I'm new to the area. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Small talk, stuff like that. You mind if I take your picture? And then I took one, and then I got closer and took another one, and then I got real close. And he still didn't move. I got up, said, hey, all right, have a nice day. And I went on about my way. He just sat there.
And he chewed your head off.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this thing I pulled out under my pillow, we dragged the mat out into the sun, and this thing was back up on its hind legs. All front legs were up, and these two fangs coming. I mean, they must have been 5 millimeter at least. And it wasn't a huge spider. I mean, it was, well, to me, it was a freaking huge spider. It was 3 inches across. But he had a hell of a pair of pincers on him.
Yeah, they can keep
can't wait
that.
to
I'm good with that.
Big shout out to Alan and Melanie in chat. TFR.
Yes, TFR. Shout out. Glad to have you guys here. We appreciate you coming over here and hanging out with us on YouTube.
So I got 2 words for you fellas. Yusaku Meizawa.
Bless you.
Thank you. Clean that up a little. No, does the name ring a bell?
It does. I was being silly. I'm excited for him.
I know it rings a bell for you, John. You know who that is? That's actually a person's name, by the way.
I'm in the dark, Josh. So go on.
Yusaku Meizawa.
Bless you.
This is the fella who's decided to inject a huge sum of money, apparently, an undisclosed amount of money, into SpaceX in order to figure out how to build what they call, the Big Falcon rocket.
The Big Falcon.
Isn't that Falcon stupid? That's just the stupidest Falcon thing I've ever heard. But anyway, the Big Falcon rocket. Apparently, they don't really quite know how to do this, and they needed some income. They needed an injection of capital, so they got this guy to buy a ticket to the moon, or around the moon. A ticket around the moon. This sucker. I'm telling you what. That's when you know when you have more dollars than you do cents, when you start buying tickets to outer space. But anyway, apparently this is the guy that went to SpaceX and bought the first commercial plane ticket from SpaceX to get into outer space, fly around the moon, and come back. So
not necessarily the first one, just the current one.
Well, I guess it is the current one.
I mean, that money's good, isn't it? It's safe.
I am sure that money is safe inside an account of SpaceX's.
Do you think he's doing the names on purpose?
You can take it to the bank.
Hey, I reckon that name is, that one's Falcon Heavy and that one's Falcon Big. Think he's doing that on purpose?
Yes. If I know, as well as I know Elon Musk, but just to hear this dude talk, and maybe it's not his brainchild, but I bet you some smartass in his R&D said we're gonna call it the Falcon rocket, and we'll just have a little play on words. And he's like, oh, yeah, I like that. That's good. We'll use that.
That's good
it's
shit.
Falcon rocket, man. Yeah. So that's what they did. That's my guess. I don't think he came up with that. That sounds a little too clever for his ass, but my guess is he signed off on it.
Are you stereotyping our leader, Mr. Musk, as a stoner.
I wouldn't say I'm stereotyping him as a stoner. I'm stereotyping him as a fucking moron.
An idiot fuck? Thank you.
Although I do have video evidence of him having smoked weed, I don't know that he is a stoner.
Go
He didn't
to
inhale, though.
Milan.
I noticed he didn't inhale. That's pretty sad.
They're interesting, aren't they? These media games, you know, as if he accidentally wandered on and accidentally had a huge joint on air. Do you know what I mean? It's very interesting.
Hair implants.
Well, what's the point of this one? Is it to remove him? I wonder. From
I think that he let too much slip. He's given us the fact that Mars and shit's on the Earth. He's given us the fact that there's no freaking car in space. And he just recently gave us the fact that these jets that we've been guessing are running on compressed air is what his new car is going to be running on. So, yeah, I think they're about to take him out.
Shouldn't laugh. Sorry. No offense. But
I mean, he's going under with the pedo thing. He let that out of the bag with the whole pedo thing with the coffin he sent to the
Thailand and
yeah. So yeah, he's.
I think it's a different subject. What if Big Pharma finally have all their ducks in a row behind the scene? Everything is set. They know the tidal wave of legislation is unstoppable. So rather than trying to make this a negative spin for Elon Musk, they're trying to take this as a positive, normalizing spin for the use and smoking of cannabis, because they're going to be able to start promoting it soon. Soon you'll be able to have weed from your Big Pharma being put up on the commercials during your 6 o'clock news.
what are you saying? It'll be like get GlaxoSmithKline's weed. It will take you to space.
Yep.
Endorsed by Elon.
Predictive program. Yep.
And then they can make sure that you're getting your GMO for the day.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep. They got all their stuff in a row, and this is just their way of normalizing it. Because he's still pretty hot stuff. He's still got that, dude's boring as hell, right? Boring in Los Angeles. He's boring in Chicago. Look, this dude is so boring. He hasn't even started being boring in Chicago yet. He had to start being boring in L.A. just to build a test tunnel to see if he could figure out how to start being boring in Chicago. That's how Falcon boring this guy is.
But this is Elon. Elon. We love you, Elon. Doesn't he rule the Mars race?
You know what? I probably. I know there's other people out there. Again, but there's other people out there selling tickets to the moon or around the moon or to a flipping hotel floating in space. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about was commercialism of space. Space tourism. How long has space tourism been going on? We know it's a lie. We know pardon my French, Yusaku Izawa isn't going to go around the moon. Elon's not going to put him on that Falcon rocket.
This is the bit where we put the chat to pace, isn't it?
Well, see, I was doing the research for the show and just looking at this stuff, and this is when it hit me. Well, because Zack had said over on the Ironworks that he remembers seeing some ad from some like regular commercial airliner selling tickets to the stratosphere or into space or something. And it got me wondering, well, how long have they been trying to sell this garbage to people?
I'm pretty sure it was around the moon. This was back in the 70s.
1970s, right? So they had just barely gotten men to the moon on a actual rocket, quote unquote. And they already have commercial airliners selling these useful idiots tickets. Like poor John there, who bought a plot of land on the moon. It's the same thing. You buy a plot of land on the moon, you might as well buy a ticket to ride a rocket that goes around the moon. Because at the bottom line, all you did was just hand over your money to somebody as a gullible schmuck.
No, I've got an acre I've got 1 pixel of the moon, whatever it is.
Yes,
Doesn't matter.
Well, you take that, you put that in one hand,
I was always a gullible schmuck when I had money. When you don't have money, then you quite quickly turn into a non-gullible schmuck, because, yeah, you can only buy things that are actually useful to you. But yeah, I was a total gullible schmuck, but I still got an acre on the moon. Either way.
If you say so, John. So I went to looking to see how far back I could find these commercials, these ads, these.
One second, real quick. Is it on the front side or the back side? Can you see it?
Front side, yeah. I've got coordinates, everything.
There you go. Good. Okay. Just making sure. Sorry about that, Josh.
No, that's all right.
What do you mean, front side or back side?
It's
Well, we can see one half of the moon, and you can't see the back side of the moon.
The side that we can see.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah, it's
you
on
want to
that
be able
side.
to keep an eye on your property. Okay. There you go.
That's right. I've got a camera trained on it. Don't worry.
Well, you do make a good
When
point.
do you get to buy the hotels, or is that after you go through Park Place? How does it? I mean,
I've got to go around the moon a couple of times.
a couple of
before I
times
can,
around, then you can put the
pick up and go.
houses first, then the hotels.
That's right. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You read the small print.
So here's an article I have from the Daily Mail. This is right, as reliable as that is, from 2014. It says ticket holders set to travel on Virgin spaceship show their support for Richard Branson and his program, as the CEO says he'll refund the $250,000 tickets after a tragic explosion. But will celebrities still take the risk? So 700 ticket holders set to fly on their Spaceship Two. This is the Virgin Galactic. Richard Branson's attempt to get to space before Elon. And I guess in his tests, huge explosion, and apparently he's refunding the tickets, which went for $250,000 a piece times 700. Somebody do that math. That's a lot of effing money.
Now I want to know how much he would have made off the interest of all this money in this amount of time.
So listen to this. Among the ticket holders are celebrities including Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, and Justin Bieber. What a wasted explosion. My goodness. Just think of the good we could have done with that rocket explosion. Anyway, apparently he's still going to try it again. And apparently a lot of these same celebrities are willing to go ahead and take that $250,000 and buy another ticket, which chances are he's not going to then refund. He's just say, hey, why don't you just let that stuff ride, right? Just let me hang on to it and you can catch the next one.
Is this why those said celebrities bleed and plead about child poverty and how the world is going to hell in a handbasket and give you money, please? Same people?
I think those are the same people. Yup. So here's one from space.com. American businessman Dennis Tito, the world's first orbital space tourist, is seen training for his 2001 flight to the International Space Station. Tito launched in April 2001 aboard the Russian Soyuz spacecraft. Thanks to, how much do you think he paid? How much do you think it cost this man to get from the ground to where they say the International Space Station is?
I wouldn't even
2.5
venture
million.
a guess.
I'm going to say
No, it'd have to be more than that because it costs them more than that just to send somebody up there, doesn't it?
Richard Branson was selling his tickets at $250,000 a piece. How much do you think this guy paid?
But this was to go to the ISS, right?
Yep.
This guy, more than that.
Couple of petrol tokens and
I was going to say, can't you get a bus
small
most of the way?
child, maybe.
I'll take a guess at 2.5 mil. Yeah, and your firstborn male.
20.
20 million.
20?
$20 million deal that was brokered by the Virginia-based firm Space Adventures. Now, I would like somebody to look into Space Adventures. I bet they are crooked as shit.
It makes my $20 acre on the moon.
Yeah, that's
put
chump
into
change.
perspective. And no
I bet this is
firstborn
where all the
child
space
either.
lawyers
That is.
20 million. Good
$20
Lord.
million. Isn't that
How many
insane?
people we could feed with that?
But really, that's about as early as I found. That right there is the earliest reference I found. And that story is from 2011. I couldn't really find anything any earlier. But Zack's saying he's seen stuff, remembers seeing stuff in the 70s, but damned if I could find it. I mean, granted, I didn't do a whole lot of really hardcore digging, but I spent quite a bit of time just searching Google and the
I
various
actually think
search
I saw it
filters.
in school. I'm pretty sure I saw it in school.
I mean, I didn't find
Learning
anything
about the moon.
searching the news, searching just general searching pictures. I just
Maybe
couldn't find anything.
American Airlines, I think.
So we have this idea, right? Why not include a little help from our listeners, from the chat? I don't know who's still sitting in chat. I don't even know how many people we got watching right now. But I was wondering if maybe you guys could give us a little help in trying to find some good, really early space tourism stuff. Whether it's an article or an ad from United Airlines or whatever it is, or some crooked ass people from Space Adventures. I really couldn't find anything really. This article from 2011 about a story from 2001 was about as far as I could go back. So I've not really seen anything from the 90s or the 80s, or definitely nothing from the 70s.
Realistically, how far do you think this would go back? Because I would say the 1930s, 40s.
Well, I'm kind of like Zach. I remember this being told to me in school for sure, promised in every broadcast with Walter Cronkite sitting there, narrating the moon journeys and all of it. I watched every mission, and constantly we were told, "Oh, just wait, launch in orbit." Vacation around the moon.
Would this include like companies incorporated then, Josh? You're looking for maybe just that for the purpose of space travel?
I think
so. Or are
so.
you just looking at adverts or?
I think companies would be good too. I think tourists in space. Yeah. I mean, we know we have governments shooting people up there, right? So we need some actual tourists that are up there taking a look around. And at the very least, it's an offer to be a space tourist, right? Just the earliest sort of space tourism type story. Who are the first people to try to sell this malarkey? Who are the first dumbasses that thought it would be a good idea to invest any amount of money in a trip to outer space based on the current technology of the time? Because I'd be real curious to see what time that is and what that technology was and just how stupid they had to be. So with a little help from our listeners and from chat, I would like to see if you guys can come up with something really, really old. Something older than I could find.
Probably it's best to say not from the panel members, as we wouldn't have much of a show to carry on with.
And you're not meaning like Picard either, in terms of somebody going up and doing that shit on themselves. You're just talking about people who are honestly people you think are trying to fleece other people from the concept of it.
Did Picard get past the Kármán line, quote unquote?
Well, no.
Well, no. I mean, did Picard offer tickets in his silver ball to go around the moon? I mean, that's what we're after. Is the not necessarily companies saying we'll take you around the moon, give us 500 grand, and we'll do it. Just adverts and news clippings of as vague as they usually are about some company that may offer people a trip possibly around the moon as soon as possibly May 1949, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like the Red Bull jump, right? The Red Bull jump is like August Picard meets Jackass, right? We go way up in the sky, then we just jump out the fucker. Why not?
But you're not talking about people who are legitimately putting out these adverts either, because as we know, 2018, there is still no legitimate company or entity that can take you around the moon and back. But we're still seeing their bullshit advertising. How far back does it go?
It's got to go far back. And I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't find it. Seems like it'd be relatively easy because we know this. I was just looking for pictures of space tourists, right? So what I wanted was somebody holding the camera, like they're just in awe and taking pictures of stuff. So I was looking at astronauts with cameras. You know how many pictures there are? This is where it gets funny, just to get a little off on a tangent here. I was looking at some of these pictures, and they are in the ISS in these little bitty box, studios, and they just have wires and cables and just rolls of duct tape and cargo nets and just the ridiculous stuff hanging off the wall. They've got probably 15 cameras just there, just laying about. There's pieces just stuck to the wall in places, and it's just everywhere.
Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about.
I showed it to my girlfriend, and I said, you work with engineers. Do you think an electrical engineer would let his workspace look like this? And she looked, and she just started laughing. So we'd zoom in on stuff, and we're just looking and pointing and laughing at. I mean, there's no way. So then I'd take her and show her a picture of the astronaut with the spacewalk, right? So he's got a camera too. He's a space tourist on a spacewalk, right? So we start looking at the outside of the ISS and all the wires and cables and shit just plugged out and randomly. I'm like, okay, maybe they just had to do it from the inside. It's their living quarters. You're patching stuff. It's an amalgamation of all the years and decades of it being up there. Maybe I could give you that. But then on the outside, surely you're going to want some sort of organization. You're going to want to be able to do something, right? Go look at just your average set of servers and the cables, those Cat 5, Cat 6 cables. They're bundled, they're neat, they're color coded. I mean, that's the way it has to be for you to be able to understand what's going where and doing what. You can't just have random shit plugged in, hanging out everywhere.
Yeah, but not in space, mate. Not in space.
I used to install cables into large call centers and that sort of thing. And if I'd done what you see on the ISS, then I wouldn't have had a job to come back to on Monday. Full stop.
So we were just having a good look at that. But there were just picture after picture after picture after picture of astronauts with cameras taking pictures. So I'm thinking if there's all these people offering trips to space or trips to the moon or trips around the moon or trips to a hotel floating around the moon or whatever the hell they're trying to sell people these days, surely there's got to be tons of these articles or these advertisements or just people talking about this. But I really couldn't find anything very old. So we were talking about this on Wednesday, and we figured, how could we help get listeners in the chat involved and still give them an incentive to participate?
They can only be periodic though, can't they? Because you can't. Well, it's not like if you're doing like a trip to Antarctica, you can bundle a load of people on a boat or on a plane and fly for freaking ages and go, look, it's white out there. Yeah, and then fly back for freaking ages, and they go, "Oh, I saw the Antarctica." Yeah, but space is a bit harder, isn't it, to kind of mug somebody off? So they kind of can only pull the scam off. Can't pull it off and actually let anybody go on it. They can only pull the scam off. Hopefully, the people that were mugged off by it either forget about it or die, and then they can have another go at doing the scam again. So it's going to be. It's a lot harder scam to do, isn't it? And it probably does require people of the intellect of the aforementioned
I don't know,
stars to part with that cash.
You remember watching that TV series called Space Cadets? Remember that?
Yeah, so that's my point exactly. So the only other way you could then do that is to kind of trick people into that collusion, which would require hypnosis and all sorts of bullshittery. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because I mean, on Space Cadets, they they got them all the way into space, as they thought anyway, these cadets. And then they opened the door and went, "Yay, I'm Johnny Bourne, you're a dick." And all I'm saying is that all they'd have to do is return them back to Earth on their space cadet trip, and they'd be none the wiser. So it doesn't need to be.
Well, yeah, you guys all saw that video Antonio Subarat's put out, right? Where it looked like there was a bunch of people and 5 rockets up in space taking pictures.
Oh, yeah.
In the shuttles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be hard for them to fake this stuff to make it look like they've done it.
No, and the thing I was saying about the space cadets is that they told them at the end that they had been space cadets. Whereas if they hadn't told them at the end and they just landed them back on Earth in their space cadet helmets, and they wouldn't have been any the wiser.
Nope. Thank them very much for their service. It was an
Thank
amazing.
you.
You're so brave.
Exactly.
Welcome home, astronauts.
Now go sell your quarters on eBay.
Yep. And your fake space rocks. Dumbasses. Pretty soon we'll be selling tickets to your average Joe.
I think that's them there, John. I've pulled them up. That's them in their space rocket taking off, isn't it? Or getting ready to take off. Or
That's right, yeah. Yeah, even the inside of it just looked like an Alton Towers space ride. You know, it was just, it was incredible that it took them, well, I mean, we say that. None of us have been in that situation, but these guys were taken through the ringer, and I'd love to know what they're doing now. They're probably working either for the UN or the BBC. But yeah, it just showed how easy it is to trick someone. And they didn't have to reveal that they were being tricked. They could have, like I say, landed them back on Earth hypothetically and let them out in Russian landscape, and they'd have sworn blind till the day they died that they went into space.
Yeah, I can see that happening. And I wonder if that has happened already with some of these so-called astronauts.
Bingo. That's exactly what I think's happened. But it might be dawning on the very last illegitimate astronaut we have. Buzz. Come on, mate. You know you can change the course of history, Buzz, by just letting us know that it's all a blur. You don't know what happened. You don't know what's going on. Just let us know, mate.
That'd be great, but I don't see it happening.
So Bob had said it was going to cost a little extra if we were going to get him to do some research, and I was going to get to that. We have a whole bunch of fluoride-free toothpaste. I mean, some really good fluoride-free toothpaste. Waltz, you got some. I've got some. Adam,
yes.
Anybody that went to the UK conference got some.
Yeah, we got real currency, Bob. Real currency.
Real stuff.
Fluoride-free toothpaste.
We even have some for the kids.
Have some of that.
Not that harsh minty stuff that's sometimes a bit too overwhelming. It's a fruitier. It's a little bit easier on the younger palates. And it's fluoride-free. We got activated charcoal, fluoride-free toothpaste. We've got coconut oil, fluoride-free toothpaste. We've got a regular whitening, fluoride-free toothpaste.
And even these different ones have so many other great, and like the coconut oil one. Well, that's good. They are great stuff for your teeth. If you do oil pulling, you know what coconut oil can do for them. In that one, it has tea tree oil. It has, I mean, the ingredients in this, I was shocked when I was reading all the different, I have so many different, I'm trying not to open them all. I want to give them out to people, let them check it out. Because I've been doing the fluoride-free toothpaste thing for some time now, and it can get quite expensive out there. And you have to be careful. One of the big name companies out there that was known for their fluoride fluoride-free toothpaste. I bought a tube one day, just grabbed the name, got home, read the thing. It had fluoride in it. So they now have fluoride toothpaste out there as this company known for non-fluoride. So be careful. And definitely, I was shocked at the quality of this stuff in that I had just bought some charcoal toothpaste myself here in town, and I'm literally constantly wiping up black crap all over the bathroom every night from us all brushing teeth because it's just black everywhere. The one that Adam sent is black on your toothbrush, but once you start using it, it just kind of goes away. I don't know. It's crazy. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, this is all cool. The main reason was we were trying to thank the chat because I ignore you. The others don't. I tell them to ignore you, but we wanted to actually thank the chat, and we've got some fluoride-free toothpaste. So yeah, without extolling too much virtue on it, drop us a line. We'll send you some toothpaste, one per show. Read the small print.
Allodent. If you want the brand name, Allodent, you don't necessarily have to buy it from us. I mean, whoever can come up with the earliest example of this space tourism junk, hell, I'll send you a free tube. Take your pick. If you're in the UK, I suspect Adam will probably put up the money to ship it to you. He'll send you a tube. We could probably get you covered on the shipping and handling. Just some way for the chat to participate. We appreciate loyalty, as Bob says. If it's got good content, that the channel will grow. So we appreciate you, small few loyal customers that do tune in.
Yeah, screw YouTube. Get your IRM tube. Sorry. On that note,
well, no, just before you go, and it is a great message, guys, and all gimmicks aside, whether it's ours or whatever, get hold of fluoride free because it is a massive deal, especially for your kids. To be able to give stuff to your kids and mintiness, mate. That the coconut oil one I think's the mintiest. The others, my boys just use the adult standard one.
I think it might be the tea tree oil in that coconut that gives that extra kick because it is awesome. That's my favorite, actually. I like it better than the charcoal one at this point. I haven't tried the others yet. Trying not to. And just for the record, the one I was talking about out there, yes, I have been using Tom's for years. They are known for fluoride free, but unbeknownst to me, they also have fluoride, and it got on our store shelves here without me realizing it, and I bought some home. So that's what I was talking about.
Another good one, they make a lot of products called Dr. Bronner's. It's all natural, non-GMO, fluoride-free. They make a really nice hemp oil soap. Comes in a bunch of different fragrances. It's the only thing I've used for like the last 5 years since I found it. You feel so much cleaner when you don't use a petroleum oil to cleanse yourself.
Just be careful using it as a shampoo because if you have thin or fine hair, I do, and I use it as a shampoo trying to do an all-in-one solution. Man, it took me forever to get tangles out. It was just so squeaky clean.
Well, I'll tell you what, the best toothpaste you can do is get your own and make your own, which is extra virgin first press coconut oil.
Well, that's exactly what this reminded me of, John, was when I did make my own using coconut oil. This because that's what I used. I had some peppermint oil, I had some tea tree oil, I even put a little oregano oil in mine because I wanted to keep that extra antiseptic going, and that's what these remind me of, is when I was making my own toothpaste. That's how real and natural these are. I mean, I was really astounded because I've had some natural toothpaste, as I said, and they're great, but these really reminded me of something I would have made myself. That's how.
Well, that's it. You just get hold of some decent coconut oil, some bicarbonate of soda, and any additives, oils, essential oils you want. Yeah, peppermint or spearmint or orange or whatever you want. And then what I do is crush in a load of activated charcoal tablets for the kids. They love it. And yeah,
That's where you get the bathroom cleanup, right?
yeah, absolutely.
John, do you melt the oil? Do you know what I mean, in a pan and mix it in, or do you kind of mix it with a spatula and kind of mix
but
it
my
in?
wife doesn't. Yeah,
Rough.
my wife mixes it with the back of a spoon,
Yeah.
but I melt it and then I try and dissolve everything into it, and then I try and keep it stirring while it's being cooled down so that nothing sinks to the bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a work in progress, but you know, for what is it, £5 worth of oil, you can make over a year's worth of toothpaste without a doubt, and it's the best stuff. You know what's in it. It's easy.
Okay.
Well, here's the great thing about the aloe dent is that we can get it at a really good price, thanks to that Adam.
Yeah, sorry, I was the worst advert for Aladdin ever, wasn't I? But
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
sorry. That's right.
On that note, I will bugger off and leave you to it. It's been a fucking awesome night. Enjoy the chat, and yeah, I'll catch up with you shortly.
Are you doing one of these things where you disappear and then don't disappear things?
Gone.
He just Kaiser Soze does.
Yeah.
Back again.
See?
Gone.
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, that's one of those names I use quite often. Talk about people just disappearing. Poof.
Poof. Gone. All of a sudden, there's no more limp.
Let's talk about poof gone. Where's the next bit of the journey, Zach? Where do you want to get to this week?
There's a national forest up a little bit north. I'm gonna go check out.
Wherever weed is legal, yeah.
It's back.
Yeah.
Gone.
And then I'm gonna stop in I'm gonna stop in Billy the Kid's. I want to go see his gravesite, supposed gravesite. That's just north of me here. At least drive through that town. I forget the name. Fort Sumner, it's called. On my way up to the national forest on the Colorado-New Mexico border there. I forget the name of the national forest right now. I've been through so many national forests. I mean, it's been awesome. It's just, I can't remember all the names now. Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, Mark Twain, Angelina. What was the other one? Oh, I forget. They're huge, though. They're enormous forests. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You guys over there in England, it's like half the size of your country, some of these forests. They're just enormous. And they have highways running right through them. It's not like a forest where you have to drive around it. They have major highways, a couple of them. One takes up 4 counties. Angelina National Forest in Texas. It's 4 counties large. It's enormous. It's huge. They have pine trees that are like 2 feet in diameter that are all over 100 feet, maybe not over 100 feet, but they're way up there. They're way bigger than any other pine trees I've ever seen. That was really cool. But yeah, I'm going to head north a little bit. I want to check out that forest. I'm looking for a place with some precipitation. Southern New Mexico, you don't get a whole lot of rain.
I know a little place.
Clara, was that those, you know, he was talking about those spiky things that's getting in Hank's feet. Is that what you were showing earlier on?
Yeah, did you see that? I was hoping
Yeah.
you saw that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can't find it again.
Somewhere clearer them.
So space.
Yeah.
I say,
It's hard to get.
fuck it. I'm
away
not
from
that, I don't
birds.
think that much. If you want some toothpaste, hit me up.
Absolutely. And
Feel-
try to find these things we're looking for, please, because I'm digging around, even as Josh was talking about it, and I'm not faring well at all.
I am looking at this picture of Dennis Tito though, and he's in this little Soyuz capsule, and there's a big sticker on the outside for some reason. It says, "Take off shoes, please," and then it's got in different languages. It looks like Russian and German. And I got to thinking about the ISS. Anybody's running around in their socks. Wouldn't you want to wear rubber shoes? Wouldn't you want to be grounded out somewhere? Why would you want to be in your bare socks? Wouldn't you be generating a whole lot of static electricity just running around in your socks? And isn't the last thing you want to be doing in that floating tin can stuffed full of gills, full of sensitive electronic equipment? It just seems counterintuitive to me, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah,
So
I
like
never
your
thought
Christmas
about how
socks.
electricity would act up there.
Seems like you'd want shoes on. You'd want rubber socks on, if anything. If anything, because you have to float around in near zero gravity just to get a little bit of traction when you do manage to make contact, just so you can get some friction and push off. You'd want rubber socks. But you'd want to be grounded out. You wouldn't want to just generate a bunch of static electricity. Seems strange. I don't know. But what do I know? I'm just nobody. I'm just some guy with some toothpaste.
That'd be either Veruca socks or those ones you get at Christmas with the rubber. Cozy, but with rubber lining on the bottom. That's what they need. Yeah, it's a point, mate. The health and safety up there is hilarious in many ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Especially with their apparently proclivity to have extra holes drilled throughout. It seems like you didn't want to take extra precautions to be sealing it off section by section, just in case you find more holes.
It's almost like they haven't anything really to worry about, isn't it?
Right. They're just up there having a good time. It's like the kids' playground, those indoor playgrounds. You take the kids to have pizza and soda and candy and get them all hyped up and wear themselves out playing video games and playing in ball pits. It's like that for grown-ups. It's called Dave and Buster's here, but this is like advanced, even more advanced than Dave and Buster's. This is like, just go up there, swing around. That's how it's safe. You're grounded out by the two cables you're hanging from. That's what makes it safe. There's your grounding wire. You're hanging from it. I don't know, fellas. I got about 20 minutes left in me. We'll call it an even 3.
Yeah, me too. Actually, just a side note to something we started off with, I found the fact here is possible that maybe that someone has a duplicate of the museum on the moon. Either it's a duplicate or the freaking thing never actually got to the moon. Here, I'll send you the story.
Ooh, that's exciting. You mean to tell me that
someone just found it?
Someone has it on, like, somebody purchased it. A Tampa, Florida curator, Jade Dellinger, purchased this curious piece in an online auction just recently. And it looks just exactly like the one we've been talking about all day long now.
Is it a ceramic wafer?
It's a ceramic wafer. Here, I'll shoot it over to you. Hang on. It's really funny.
Buzz Aldrin needs some side cash.
I guess somebody got some side cash. Here, I'm going to drop it in our Skype chat.
I appreciate that. This is meant to be, like a sort of live research, interact with the listeners in the chat, and just sort of...
Right. Well, I started doing the research. I figured, hell, I'm going to find something. And this is actually not even about this tourism, but it definitely popped up in that search. So there it is in the Skype chat. And as you see, the picture...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how did Jaron... He would check things by the year. He said he could search through Google. I think it was Google.
Oh yeah,
He
you
could
could
put up.
filter it all kind of ways.
I just went through all my filters. And I didn't find anything for this, like from this year to this year.
Oh
So
really?
I wanted from like 1990, whatever, as soon as the internet started putting stuff out, till, you know, just a year later, and see what they had back then written
Well,
down.
this story is actually from 2010, I'm seeing, so that's crazy as well.
Yeah, I think the furthest back one I saw for the space travel one was 2011. And I know they were talking about space travel well before that. George Bush said he was putting a base on the moon in the year 2000. Well, he said it'd be there by 2012. He said that in the year 2000. And then 9/11 happened, and Department of Homeland Security had to be established, and blah, 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 blah.
I poked around a little over on archive.org just to see what they have, because they have a lot of good stuff. And probably if I cleared my head and approached it differently, I could probably find some stuff on there. Sometimes it's a pretty useful tool. Other times it's
I was actually wondering about the Wayback Machine as well.
Yeah, that's right there, archive.org, really.
Same thing.
Yeah.
What about like a way to search through old textbooks, since Zach and I both remember it from school?
Yeah, my teacher was telling me about this. And I don't know if it was I was trying to think if it was in the textbook or if it was something that he just told us. And I can't even remember. It's driving me nuts. He was the girls' JV basketball coach. I had him freshman year. It was world history that we talked about it. And his name just eludes me. He's the one who taught me about evolution and all that nonsense. And I can see his face clear as day. I just cannot remember the old man's name. It's going to drive me nuts. It'll come to me. That one's in the Wayback Machine. But yeah, I remember him telling me clear as day that he remembered him selling tickets. And one of the, I think he said American Airlines maybe, or something like that. For like $2,700 or $2,500 a ticket to go around the moon. And this was in the mid 70s, right after all the moon missions. Because they were talking about, it didn't just die and they said, okay, we're just done. It went on for a long time about, now it's going to go into civilian hands, space travel and this and that, yada, yada, yada.
Right. I hate to keep interrupting with left turns, but as I'm trying to track down more about this story that this ceramic piece might not have made it to the moon, it linked me over to the PBS story about this. And on here, it's apparently a show on PBS back in 2010 called History Detectives. And they say in Moon Museum, it's part of the series, blah, 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 about this piece of ceramic. In another show called Saddaloon, they track a scrap of metallic mylar that could be part of an early U.S. satellite balloon. Oh, I love it.
Wow. So Saddaloon is tracking satellite balloons?
This is in 2010, talking about history of the space program. So yeah, this is something I'm going to find. I need to see these shows. There's a website. All right, I'll stop doing library search. Quick, carry on.
No, it's fine. We got about 10 minutes left.
Oh, for all you space fans out there, alien fans, I stayed in Roswell, New Mexico last night.
Yeah.
And I saw nothing. Beautiful storm pass over. That was pretty neat, watching a giant storm roll by. And it actually rained real heavy. If they only get 14 inches of rain a year, I bet they got almost an inch right there.
You sure you didn't see any strange colors up there in the clouds during the lightning storm?
No, I was looking too.
Well, my friends who live out that way tell me that there is not a week goes by that they don't see some kind of strange something going on around them in the air.
I saw a military fighter jet fly over as soon as I got to the state park there. I was down in this kind of.
Well, I guess so. You're trying to log on to TFR and listen to that. They're tracking you now, buddy.
Yeah, that was crazy this morning on TFR. I was at a state park and they were using their Wi-Fi. They had free Wi-Fi and they would not let me log on to TFR's website at all.
Number 89 and proud.
Yep.
And I bet you it's only time slots. It's probably only targeted for the early morning time right there on Friday. I bet you if you check on Tuesday, I bet you can't get on Tuesday too. What does that say?
We get it. You know where I live.
Between 10 and 12 UK time. So what are you saying?
That's what I'm saying. I bet you. I bet you.
Sorry, guys.
Yes, science.
On science, I had one last little bit. Really, I don't know if you guys have seen it over there. It's been on Nathan's channel, but it's this Simon Dan business. I don't know if you've seen anything about this strange guy that's obviously a baller who doesn't provide any science, but his strange meteoric rise to fame. I'm not sure. I'll pull up the numbers. I don't know if you guys have seen or heard about it your side.
I've heard he's got some crazy numbers put up real fast.
Oh, it is like laughably fast.
Yeah.
Start comparing it to the things that the 90% brain dead sheep, all that
the mainstream pushes.
Yeah, keeps YouTube alive. That's giving all those. His growth is like it's up there with that. It's ridiculous.
Like he has commercials on television or something, telling you to go watch his YouTube channel. Yeah, that's funny.
I just got it there. 65,000.
No, Ranty has a good point that he's probably targeted some gamers. There's some group. There's a group somewhere that a niche that he has targeted that have taken, bought his story and are siding with him. And I think that's you get a few thousand people making a whole bunch of different accounts, because most of these are going to be accounts with only one channel in common. And it's going to be his Simon Dan's channel, which is no coincidence. But you get these few thousand people. So when, Ranty calls them out as being fake or Nathan calls them out as being fake and they all come and swarm in, you get, a couple hundred people out there swapping around between channels, just hammering insults as fast as they can type them out and press enter. Then it looks like there's more people than there is. But when most of these accounts are just duplicates of only one other person, then you know that it's bought and paid for and faked. One way or the other, it's not legitimate. Which does go to show that you don't necessarily have to put out good content in order to grow, nor do you necessarily grow if you put out good content. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. I'm not compelled to click on any of these by any means, but some odd amounts of views. 628,000 there. Flat Earther hilariously tries to use Google Earth too. Intriguing. And
go ahead.
So I was just going to say, it doesn't seem to be anything of his own content. It just appears to be him ridiculing other people. I mean, maybe you could excuse it for that. That's why it's getting promoted. That's why maybe it's getting those sorts of views, because it is kind of that easy promote clickbait that they'll promote now, because it is just not necessarily science, but somebody ridiculing or picking on minor points where people are wrong. Because I know he's been challenged in his fully spacesuit. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring up that. I thought that was worthy of note. 145,000 views for him. Flat Earth leader gets his best 5 points ruined. Oh, he's that's it now. Gone too far, hasn't he? He's attacking our leader, guys. Nothing like a good straw man.
Who's the leader? Who's his idea of the leader?
The Sarge.
Are you serious?
That's apparently our leader.
He may hit you for this, or hit us for this, just so as you know.
What, Prince?
Wait, we're not
He's
playing
dead,
video,
man.
are we?
He's fucking dead.
Simon Dan.
Oh, right. I thought you meant
yeah,
Prince.
We're gonna get hit. That's not a good idea.
I just wanted to.
F them. We're not monetized. What are they going to do? Take it away from us?
Yeah, he can have the 0. No, I wasn't necessarily pulling it up. I just wondered.
Dogs upstairs.
I'll tell you what, he's got a canny title there. Yes, it's Flat Earth Friday again, apparently according to Simon Dan. So, good lad. That's one thing.
Yeah, it's been pretty popular this past year. I've seen lots of people using that. Pretty catchy.
Yeah, especially when you get into the fringe. But no, but there you go. Anyway, go away, Simon Dan. I'm done with you.
Yeah, I think I watched about 2 minutes of one of his videos, and I was like, oh, wow. One of these. Did you see there's a new Soundly out now? Some younger kid that actually shows his face. Using, looks like the exact same pictures.
Yeah, he's got that weird, strange name. Not Heath, but weird.
Yeah, I didn't see his name or anything. I didn't click on it. I'm not even gonna waste my time.
I've seen a number of young kids, 2, maybe 3 young kids, just repeating the rhetoric, as you were, as response to flat earthers. It's a guy with a bit of an emo haircut I've seen, and then another. I think he's done some response videos to Nick at Phuket Word, and I've seen another couple as well, mate. It seems to be easy bait, but it's easy straw man bait from what I've seen of the videos. It's not honest rebuttal or analysis. It's just, let's say, straw man videos. Really.
I must not be doing my job. Nobody's ever made a video. Well, I take that back. One person did make a video about me saying I was the stupidest man on earth because about the Stephen Hawking thing, saying that they took it down, his flat universe theory. They removed it from Google for a reason.
I've never had a video, mate. The best I've had in I think in one of Nathan's videos, I've seen where I came on and did a demonstration. I got referred to as, oh, that's the Mong with the Lego. So that's about as good as it gets, I think.
Closest we've had is what? Repeat and repeater calling us TFR instead of IRM.
Yeah.
If that counts.
Oh.
Doing some
That's no
analytics
way
on
for,
Simon Dan's channel. He didn't start getting views until July of this year.
Right. This has all been in a few months. That's what I'm saying. The growth is ridiculous in the amount of time.
Yeah, it's really telltale if you look at it. It's a straight, flat line until July, and then it just shoots up.
Was that Anders Ace? Who was it? Somebody put out a video comparing his growth to like celebrities and just other stuff, other flat earthers and stuff like that. And just to see it on a graph is laughable. It really is.
Yeah, it's really it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's to the point where it doesn't matter what they do anymore. This is one of those things. It's like taking the red or blue pill, whatever pill. Once you take it, you can't untake it. You know,
Right.
it's done. And no matter how many people they get, because I've done my share of arguing with trolls and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, people just get around to the point where it's like, I'm not even going to waste my time with you. I know the Earth is not a spinning ball, so fuck off. I don't care what you say.
I think that's Zack. Sorry, Josh. Did you see this Tommy guy this week appear? That was.
I have everything from when he came on as a baller to today when he came on pushing evolution with wisdom teeth.
It's.
Yeah, I did. It was interesting. It was interesting to watch. It was, encouraging up to a point.
I thought it was weird today, wasn't it? He quickly reverted to type and bullshit. When once again, I don't know how quickly it took for realization to dawn that he was once again just spouting kind of unsubstantiated rhetoric, which basically meant he believed in something as opposed to could prove it. It was.
I have nothing against the guy. I never talked to him. I've never been over there on Nathan's channel when he's been on. I've only seen him on there. Something just strikes me as slightly dishonest, maybe. I don't necessarily get the idea that he is legitimately coming in with believing the things that he says when he comes in or believing the things that he says when he leaves. I get the impression that he's sort of playing a role, but that's just a gut instinct based on nothing.
Well, you got.
Those are some of the best gut instincts.
I thought interesting the way he's. It was quite a prolific jump, wasn't it, of or change of tact. But I think to be fair to him, he's been fairly decent in his response to some ball retorts. But I think to be fair, the poor lads. If I'd just come to Flat Earth, I think there's not many a place that's. Would be a harsher baptism of fire than landing up in Nathan's chat as you fumble your way and discover things about.
Oh, yes, sir. That is definitely getting thrown off in the deep end.
Do you know what I mean? It's. I did it quietly, a lot of it. Do you know what I mean? Thinking, shit. Do you know what I mean? So to go with an assumption, and I think that's the reality, Josh. He goes into something like evolution today, where he thought he was knew a bit, and once again he got a good what's the words?
His toes were held to the fire.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good.
So Rune Thornton in chat, thank you very much. That was Leeds Rules that put that video out showing Simon Dan. I do remember that. I think YouTube's got this new friend request thing where you can start. I guess they're trying to grab a little bit of social media presence, and you can now send friend requests on YouTube apparently. And I got one from Leeds Rules, and I think he included that video at some point somewhere. Maybe, I don't know.
Savage. Yeah, that just blew my mind when I got a friend request on YouTube. I was like, oh no, don't start doing this shit. That's all we need.
Isn't that all we need? That's perfect.
Thank God I've only gotten one. And I didn't even respond to it. I had no idea who the person was.
All right, fellers.
We're there.
I think I need to take a new tack. The wind has been officially taken from my sails.
Well, I'm ready to hit the sack myself, bruv. It's been a lovely evening. Cheers,
Yes,
gents.
It's been a great, altogether great day from TFR till here. It's been wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everybody in chat, both places.
And for people who made it to both places.
That's right. 30 seconds in your top half, each half. 30 seconds each half on your bottom half.
Right?
2 minutes to brush your teeth, inside and out. Don't forget to brush with fluoride free.
Out of there.
Whatever. All right, well, I'm going to call that then. Come on. There it is. I knew it was around here somewhere.
Love you guys.
I love you all.
Love you all. God bless.
I
Good
went to
night.
check that friends request thing, and I have a little message here from Ashley Webster. So apparently I'm going to be getting her on the show soon.
I hope so. I'd love to get her on.
That would be amazing. Thank you, Ashley, for responding. I appreciate it. And I still love your channel and your work. And we will definitely have you on as soon as we can.
All right, Walter. I think it's time for me to get some sleep now. My turn.
Yes, go take your nap, sir. I snuck it in. I'm ready for the night now. I love you, man. Appreciate all you do, and you just don't have a clue. If it wasn't for you and Adam making this thing smooth, we'd all just be going, huh? Where's the button?
Yeah, you'd have figured it out.
I doubt it. You have seen what I've been doing here, trying to do some multitasking. So, right. Yeah, I would have got it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, everybody on the chat, on the, the conversations there have kept me distracted. I've tried not to that's why I've been so quiet this last hour of the show is watching the chat. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Walt. Love you.
Thank you. Love you, man. Zach, be careful out there with all them damn tarantulas.
Yep. Zach, you be safe. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah.
Hug Hank for me.
Same. Adam, you sleep well. Don't forget to brush your teeth before you go to bed.
Yes.
Well, good boy. God bless. Good night, everyone.
John.
You're lurking somewhere, I suspect.
You're there, I know, somewhere, damn you. love you, cousin. Good night, John boy.
We'll see you right back here next week.
Bye.
Have no sphere, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.